Hey, how's it going, everyone? We have 13
Hey!
minutes. 13 minutes until this day of the word begins. I'm Jason Tucker. I'm with my friend here, Jason Cosper. And Say Reed will be joining us soon, momentarily.
Yeah. Childcare is a real thing that
Childcare is
people
a
need to
real
be
thing.
that people need to be concerned about, and she is taking care of her kid, but she will be joining us just as soon as they go down for a nap.
Most deaf.
Man, I have got the setup going on right now. I've got Tweetbot open. I've got with a couple searches. I've got Twitter with a couple more searches. Like just trying to get ready. Get some. We're going to try to pull in some tweets live. We're going to try to pull in if anyone is in the chat right now. We're going to have them. Any commentary that we can actually repeat on air will likely come into the show. See like that. And yeah, so we will go ahead and pull that in. We'll make little jokes and do some fact checks here with our live wall-to-wall coverage. It looks like we're getting some angry texts from Say because we started the show without her, and she isn't able to check her sound before we go live. But I say, come on and join the show. Check your sound. This is why we have a pre-show. We're just making the pre-show live.
Yep. Yeah, mainly, the thing is that the state of the word, they were saying they didn't use the word ish. They didn't have that suffix as ish, but it seems like they wanted to kind of say between this time and this time kind of thing, and who knows. So we wanted to start a little bit early just to make sure things were working right, and that we can kind of get the anticipation going there a little bit. I'd hate to start this thing right when they start. So yeah, that's what so I'm looking forward to here is talking a little bit about the state of the word and what's been going on with that and what Matt thinks about it. And I really want to know, do I need to figure out how to use an NFT?
I sure hope not.
I hope not too.
I don't want to. Please don't put me on the blockchain. Please, just keep my name off of the blockchain. Please and thank you. Let's see. I'm digging this music.
Right.
Really, is this is this, you think this is the music that Matt codes to? Do you think he just pays people to code for him now? Like what?
I don't know. I think he's definitely paying for at least a couple people to code for him. So
I mean, he still probably has to get his hands dirty every now and then. Let's see. We're trying to line up our other co-host here. Get her to hop in.
one of the things I was thinking about with this being streamed on YouTube is like, I'm hoping that all of this music is cleared.
You would think so.
Or maybe it's just gonna crash.
Right.
Well, hey, all right. Got it up and running again.
Yeah,
Let's go full screen.
the joy of going live, right?
Well, it's just weird that that. I mean, it's not like they're flooding the internets here. They got 175 people watching.
Right. I mean,
I think
this is a lot of people's idea or version of like an Apple keynote, but at the same time, this isn't doing the Apple keynote numbers.
no. I think I've seen a little kid unboxing toys with like several thousand people watching. So
Right.
for something like this, I get it. And it, one thing that I've always thought about with these particular streams is that it totally shows me like the number of like potential viewers that our show could have, and how many they could wrangle with whatever whatever millions of dollars that they threw at advertising this thing. How many they can get. It's not like this was like I mean, it might be in the dashboards. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea what you just said. I just agreed with you. I'm sorry. I'm juggling like too many things at once.
I hear you.
Oh man. Looks like there's a moderate bit of excitement around the internet for this. It's watching the tweets come down. Seeing people talking about how they're tuning in. Chris Wegman, folks from Kinsta. I think Pantheon is doing a live watch party as well. So stepping on our toes a little bit, Pantheon, but all right, fine. I guess they're going to do some giveaways or whatever. That's cool. We don't have anything to give away.
I love that Sean's saying that the music has been cleared.
Yeah.
So in past years, we've started this show like right at the beginning of when they started it, and what we found was that they would have some kind of weird freak out on their end. Something would break or something would whatever. and Bridget and I at the time were the ones that were doing it, and so we were trying to figure out how to scramble to make things work and all that sort of thing. So I'm glad that their stream is working good and that they're not having any issues. So that's good. But I remember 1 year back, we ended up having to restart the entire stream. I think we were using like Zoom or something at the time, and I had to like pull out a whole new web address and push it out to YouTube again, and then have to retweet that so people would find it. And I was like, such a pain. So I could totally understand where they're coming from with this, because it's like starting it early, having a trailer running at the beginning just to make sure people are aware of what's going on and how things are going with it and all that stuff. So good on them for kind of having all this stuff going.
Absolutely. A lot of people on Twitter with pictures of the state of the word up on their television right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is, yeah. I mean, it looks nice. I'm sure with with OLED TVs and 4K. I don't think he's sending down a 4K stream, or they're sending out a 4K stream for the state of the word, but
no, they may be. I'm not sure here. They might, yeah, they may be. Let's see here. I'll take a look at. Let's pull in Say here. Hey, there she is. Hey, Say, how's it going?
All right, working hard to make it happen. Childcare.
Oh yeah.
Arranging babysitters, being a working mom, super fun.
I hear you.
Got lots of support.
Dude, we had some outages over here, electrical outages and all sorts of fun stuff like that. I've been driving around all over the place today dealing with that stuff. So I'm glad that things are good now. I'm not having any more leaks in my house. It's fun being on the roof.
Your roof like sprung a whole leak and everything. I can't believe that this is the second time now that
it broke
we've
again.
had to start the.
Oh, wait, what? That's not something happening. Yes, something's happening.
No.
Is there going to be a boot?
It broke.
I was really hoping for a boot.
No, this has happened like multiple times now where it just like freaks out.
I wonder what the feed is.
Let's see if their chat says anything. No one else is saying.
This is so meta, watching the chat with the chat, having
Right?
a chat.
Okay.
We had a question. Oh, did you
I was going to say in the chat.
Oh, we're anticipating, Bob. Tell him what you're anticipating, Cosper.
I'm sure he's going to spend. Dogs! Yay! I'm sure he's going to spend a lot of time talking about 5.9, about full site editing and the road to full site editing. They've teased in the introductory posts about NFTs and the blockchain and all this stuff. I am not excited for that part of it.
But you're anticipating it.
Oh, well, I mean, we were told to anticipate it, so...
I think this guy's saying our stream is kicking it, too. So maybe, YouTube just... Wait, there's only 2 minutes left? This is really exciting. What's the over-under on them starting on time?
What's the over-under on Matt emerging from a giant cowboy boot?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what Say was saying. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I want the boot. I want something equivalent to the boot. Maybe it should be a Doc Marten now, or maybe it should just be. Wait, it should be.
Oh no.
Okay, I just got a really great idea. I was gonna say an NFT of the boot, but what we should really do is an NFT of the boat. You know the boat. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows the boat.
Maybe that's the announcement that Matt is generating 1,000 variations on the boat, just on the boat. So 1,000 different variations. Is there purple water?
Is the boat green? Is the boat yellow? Are there 2 oars or 1 oar? The 2 oars is really special, but 3 oars means you have 3 oars in your JPEG.
I was just thinking more silk screened like Warhol style, but
silk screen Warhol style would be cool. We could sit here and we could generate 1,000 ideas of cool ways to use the boat. That's our entire state of the word commentary is like NFT ideas. What's really interesting is that the W3 Web can't say it. WP Web 3 people have already done a WPU launch because WPU is open source. So no one had to wait for WPU's caregivers. The foundation, I don't even know, like who owns WPU? I just had an existential crisis at this moment. Does the foundation manage the license for WPU as well as the project? These are important questions.
These are important questions.
We should all know this stuff. Call ourselves WordPress fans. Anyway, the Web3 WP people have already done a WPU NFT. Did they launch it yet? I can't even remember. But they have already generated that. And so he can't announce that. But that would have been cool. But they took that thunder away from him. So...
Right.
Yeah.
Sean doesn't expect much talk about NFTs, except it was by name mentioned in the summary or the post or the whatever went out, the communication that went out about this.
They're going to mention WordPress NFTs and we're all going to be rich.
That's us.
Just rolling in the money. That's us.
Rolling it. I thought we couldn't do picture on picture. But we can. We can.
I figured it out. I
You
spent
figured
a
it
lot of
out.
time-
Damn, I didn't
Yeah.
prepare anything, so that's
Speaking of which, click the little share button.
What happens if you click the share button? Oh, Sean has insider info.
Oh.
So does that mean you're just going to be on here correcting us when we make all our wild speculations? It's going to be like, well, actually, that's not what happened.
I'll take a well, actually.
I love insider info. Don't get me wrong. I am happy to have you here feeding it to us in the commentary.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to see, now I have questions is the problem. Like, were there going to be talk about NFTs? And then they were like, no, we're not doing it because that wouldn't be too fun. Yes, it would. I'm just going to have a private dialogue with Sean. That's the state of the word commentary.
Please do.
Oh, man.
How to access Say's brain directly. You just chat in that little box and I will respond to you. Anyway, yeah, so I'm actually going to keep a little hash right here. I got a little notebook. I'm going to keep a little hashtag count of NFTs, Openverse, the buzzwords. And then we're going to use one of Cosper's fancy little blocks that he bought. What are those called? Happy blocks?
Oh, yeah, the chart blocks.
Chart blocks, but they have a fun name. It's not chart block because that's boring.
Right.
It's like happy data blocks or something. Super blocks. Sean, it's all right. We'll keep your secrets. You just tell us in the chat and we won't say anything.
Yeah,
the block names are Hello Charts.
Hello charts. I knew they were friendly.
Yeah.
All right. So
I looked at that Bob WP posted a picture of him and Matt in a suit standing next to each other a minute ago.
wait, is Bob also in the suit?
Bob they're not in the same suit. Yeah. I mean, that would be very interesting.
It's not a giant boot. It's a giant suit.
Absolutely.
That's too much. All right. I am taking suggestions, Sean, for...
here we go.
Ooh, hey, Josefa, what's up?
How are we doing on audio? A little bit louder?
Really. Welcome to everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is very
Can we
exciting.
play Name the Heads?
I am excited to see all your faces. It's been many years since I've seen some of you.
We doing okay on audio,
In case
guys?
you have not noticed, we are changing our hashtag this year. It is state of the word written out. But remember to do your capitalization for people using reading.
Accessibility.
Assistive technologies, readers,
There you
screen
go.
readers. I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, I'll help you.
There is
We're
going
here
to
for
be
you.
a Q&A portion after this. It will be
I don't
here
think she
from
can
our
hear
live
us.
audience.
There's,
Also,
I'm
folks
just
at home.
pretending, Cosper.
It's
I think
like when
there's
you
not
yell
that
at
many
football.
people
one
there.
portion for us right now. So if you have any questions,
Oh, they're
get them
making it look
ready.
like it,
If
though.
you're here, there's a microphone here that you will be able to ask your questions at. Or if you are watching at home, you can head
Oh.
on over to the
Does
Maybe
YouTube
anyone see
embed
Morton? Has
of
he
this,
staked out that? No, just kidding.
live
He's not
stream,
there.
and we are
He would
monitoring
never
the
be
chat
invited
there
to
for
that.
questions as well.
Ever.
That
They're
is
like,
all that I have to
This
say.
is a Morton free event.
And I think that's probably all that you want to hear from me anyway. And so
That's not true, Josefa.
tonight, giving
Not
our
true.
annual State of the
We
Word,
wanna
where
hear from
talk
you
about
more.
Everything we've done this year and
Actually.
everything we hope to do next year is, of course, WordPress project co-founder Matt Mullenweg.
Oh, it's time.
Yay!
There's no boot.
There's no boot.
Disappointed about the boot.
Wow.
Come on.
Did he just do an Owen
We're
Wilson?
really here. So
Well, what's up with
Just take it
that?
on.
welcome
Wilson.
everybody. And I've been told to ask if folks over here can just move up one row.
Because it looks better for the
Nice.
camera that I was
We're gonna try-
mentioning
Sure.
earlier.
Oh, wow.
Can we just
This
fill that
is
in?
so
Hi, Bob.
Exciting and
There's Bob.
so
Right up
honestly fulfilling to be
Can we
together
tweet
again.
Bob?
Oh yeah. I guess
We're together again. Welcome.
Um,
I'm really interested
For
in
those
the
joining us
coloring
live,
they've been
we are
doing.
here in
Yeah.
New
Yeah.
York City. It is the sun is setting. We've got a few invited community members from all over the world. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for sitting right there in front of the camera.
We have people joined by plane, train, and automobile. How long was the train ride?
It was Bob.
2.5 day train ride.
Hashtag Wu Train Clan.
That is definitely the most interesting. I
did I say that
actually
wrong?
am also came probably a 2.5 day trip, but all the way from.
You got it. You got it.
So if you notice a little bit of a raccoon tan, that was because I had very strong sunglasses.
You know who else hangs out in South
I was
America?
not strong enough.
Who's
Or
that?
Not America. South, or
That's
wherever the hell that
Mason
is.
And
Like
while
Prince
there,
Philip.
I read
Oh, really?
books and
Other
learned a lot
royalty.
about Antarctica. And one that particularly
Sad.
stood out, actually, a leader
Antarctica,
who's
that's what
inspired
it's
me for
called.
a long time, was Ernest Shackleton. And I knew a lot about his
He's an
endurance
explorer.
journey where ship crashed or
Shackleton.
got
He wrote a
stuck,
book.
and then they sent back. Basically, they saved every person who was on that journey. But a story I didn't know about him, which I learned about, was on one of his journeys to the South Pole, he turned away
South Pole.
only
That's what
97
it's
miles
called.
away from reaching the pole, which is pretty darn close. If
Oh,
you've
I
ever
see
tried
the
to
parallel.
flew,
Is
like,
it full side editing
almost
that?
7,000 miles back.
Is
So
that
they
the
turn
South
around to
Pole?
The last
It
97.
is.
And actually, as this
It's
was
the South Pole.
happening, as I was reading about this, I was thinking about the version 5.9 release.
I
Called it.
So you might know that today was the scheduled, or right around today was the scheduled.
It
original
was?
scheduled for the WordPress 5.9 release, and we made a very, very unusual decision for WordPress to delay the release.
Who made it?
For about a month,
Who
so we're going
made-
to release
who's
it in
they?
January.
No.
But it felt like we were so close,
Exactly.
so we decided to turn around. And but I believe it was entirely the right decision, as it was for Shackleton. He made it back
It's not
alive.
really turning
I think
around.
His thing was better
It's
to
just
be
like
a live
putting up a
donkey
base
than a dead
camp.
lion.
What?
So we don't want full site editing, which is coming. In
I got
5.9 to be
it.
a
Sean,
dead
I know
lion.
he's going with the delay.
But
The
it
South
was
Pole is full
also,
site editing.
I think a moment
We'll
for
get there,
reflection,
Shackleton.
because of course we talk
It will
about in the
happen.
philosophy part of WordPress
Because
how
it
deadlines
moves
are
slow like a
arbitrary.
glacier.
And whenever
The thing is-
we were making
Except
a
the
No one
glacier
else
looks
cares.
huge on the bottom.
to delay the
Like
release.
everybody else is
I
happy we
wasn't thinking
moved
so
it.
much about
No
what's
one
happening
wants
right
the
there,
release in
kind of month
December.
before the release.
No,
Ever.
no one
Matt
does.
does.
Nobody.
Matt
3
does.
or
Except
5 months
Matt.
before. So I think it's an excellent time to reflection. And actually some of this has started
Let's
on Anne
reflect.
McCarthy's blog. We started talking in her comment section.
Anne
In
McCarthy.
public, of course, as
She's
everything
real
happens
nice.
on WordPress,
They're
about
real nice.
what we can learn from this, that we can start
I want her
putting into
pronoun.
effect, not just for the release coming next month, which will be fine, but for the big
I'm gonna check on
6.0,
Twitter.
which is coming next year. I've even heard some rumblings that 2022 might be a year we aim for 4 releases instead of just 3.
Just
Too
why?
crazy to say. We're at the
Don't-
beginning of the state of the word,
come
not the
on.
end.
They say that like they've said that the
we
past
had a
2
very,
years.
very exciting
He said that since
2021,
2012.
and
I'm not worried.
Really, it was
Right.
quite fulfilling to be part of it. after such,
wrong Ann
well,
McCarthy.
it's still part of a very challenging time in humanity.
All right, well,
One of the things I wanted to highlight first was our
Apologize
8
about those pronouns.
new core committers, both the core
We're only
and
live. It's
themes.
okay.
So
core,
let's do a round
core,
of
core.
applause.
Yeah, I'm just shoving my foot in my mouth. One live comment at a time.
For Kelly, David, William, Isabel,
I believe Ian
Donnie,
will forgive
Jeff,
me.
JB, and Tanya.
That's awesome.
So excited that they now have ability to change
What,
the
that
code
there are
that
people
runs
there?
43% of the internet.
No, there's like new core
Another update
comment
is we
committers.
focused a lot this year
That is
on
awesome.
WordPress.org. And
Let's find
one
them
that
and
I'd
talk
like
to
to highlight
them.
to start is around the news
Recruit them.
sites.
How
Do you
many of
think
them
they'll be
work for
allowed to talk
automatic?
to
We
us?
do have
I don't
some
think they're
guest
allowed to talk
audio.
to us.
We weren't able to get people from around the world all to New York, but
Hey!
there's some audio that
That's Corey. Also, wait, WP Mom. How'd they get her audio?
The general inspiration was last year's State of the Word presentation and overall jazz aesthetics. Because the blog doesn't have much imagery, we took some time to explore shapes, typography, layout, and colors to get a successful result that expresses the playfulness of jazz.
Looks nice.
I like the
Real
Coral
nice.
War
This might have been
page.
like WordPress 3.0. So it's exciting to start to loop back to some things in WordPress.org. Another thing we were able to
What
launch
was
on
that?
WordPress.org
I'm really
was
confused.
Openverse, which I swear
Oh,
we named
that's
before
a-
Facebook
that's
decided to pivot.
me.
Openverse is a certain openly licensed media. Search for an image, download, and put it on your site.
This is old, right?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Give
Just
attribution
like
to the creator.
not clear. This is from the birds one.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
This is from the birds.
this is basically them saying, hey, don't applaud for that. It's just basically Unsplash. It's Creative Commons
And how
Unsplash.
we think about our mission from just being about the code and the tools to allow
No,
people to
you-
publish.
They're gonna have to rename
actually
that
what they're
thing.
publishing.
You know it, right?
So Openverse
They
was
have to
originally,
rename it.
There's no
called
way.
Creative Commons Search was actually part of the Creative Commons nonprofit. But the sort of cost in running it,
I feel like the theme of this talk is
we're gonna shut it down
justification.
or
Does
put
anyone
it
ever
somewhere. And we
that
found a home
feel?
for it on WordPress.org.
Isn't that
I'm
every
very,
state
very
of the
excited
word?
about it. We have
I'd say this is very
600
meta,
million
but then
Creative
we would be
Commons
talking about a company.
license through it. And we're going to have audio coming
Matt's
up
like,
at
don't
the
be
end of
meta,
January.
don't be meta,
There'll be
don't be
2 million
meta.
audio clips there. And, applying open source to content is a little tricky, but the Creative Commons, of course, has a long legacy there, I think 20 years now. And so we're very, very excited to continue carrying that torch forward to create as much open content on the web as possible. The other thing we
Creative
got on
Commons.
WordPress.org is the pattern directory.
The WordPress
Cruel?
pattern directory, similar to the plugin
Which part is cruel?
patterns that
Can
anyone
you
can
be
copy.
more specific?
We said too many things.
We'll be able to sign in and submit patterns to be added to the directory, as you can
That's
see.
not
in
our
this
that's
flow.
not our steez,
This is
John.
a huge opportunity for designers to contribute to the overall WordPress ecosystem without having to know how to code.
This is
or
a
work.
window within a
If you use
window
patterns
within a
more frequently,
window
know they make
within
it
a
easy to
window. It's like
actually
picture
play
and
out
picture and picture and picture, and
There's
I don't
much
know
more
what's
to how to
happening.
make beautiful content, from
We'll
testimonials,
add one more
headers,
level to
footers,
it.
and more over there.
Wait, that's
Once submitted, patterns will be set to pending, and you'll be able to see all your patterns in one place. Submitted patterns
that
can also be
exhibit?
resized right on the page.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yo, dog.
Power patterns
Next to the Z.
different sizes. And since patterns are really just text,
this
they
is
can be
the
copied
bird
through by
one
someone
that
with
Steve was
similar
really
text.
up. Well,
Use the pattern.
he's never
Yeah.
a fan of the defaults.
Right into your site.
The birds
He's
were
not.
pretty though. No.
So the copy pattern button on WordPress.org, you just press that, then you go over to your Gutenberg, paste, and you get whatever was there. So this is a very, very exciting way.
With the comments.
I
The
don't-
first version of
I don't
Gutenberg,
understand
phase
why
1,
that's so
we really
exciting.
created was all the fundamental building
I
blocks.
demoed it. I demoed it
almost like,
for an end user
that you can
friend
build
of
pretty
mine.
much anything
And they were
a few
like,
weeks ago.
magic.
from like
Yeah,
Legos
they
or,
were just like, oh
strands
crap,
of
this
DNA.
is
Until
amazing.
you paste
but
it
with
into a text
patterns,
editor
we
and
now
you
have
end
the
up with a
ability
bunch of
for
comment
really
crap all
anyone,
around
really,
it, and you're like,
with
what
no
the
code
heck is
or
all
no
this?
Can we put
to be able
captions
to
on?
create and share complex
Can you do that?
presentations of what you can do with
Sure we
blocks.
Yeah, good.
Another thing I was really, really proud about.
Can you
our
speed him up?
progress in
No, just kidding.
2021 was what we call the polyglots.
Okay, that might have been a
2x.
little
You don't know
bit.
polyglot
But he's
is a
from
word
Just
for
Texas,
someone
and
who
I'm
so you
speaks
know,
a lot of languages.
captions are on
I
currently.
speak barely one, so
Oh.
these folks always impress me quite a bit. We had a 76%
Well, make sure you
improvement
capitalize your
in
hashtags,
language
but
packs that are being
no
created
captions for
plugins
you.
and core. And we're up to now 15,900 active translators.
That is an even number.
With that work, we've been able to take the number of locales that WordPress
that's
is
pretty
translated to at time of release to 71.
How many languages are there? I mean,
A lot.
literally, that's a lot. Like, these are like
71
micro
they only
languages.
named 71 languages.
That's what I'm
pretty
saying, Matt. Like, we're on the same
The other
page,
thing we've been
obviously.
able to do is, for those who
Clearly.
don't know, our translation system is actually powered by an
Sean,
open source project called
oh,
GlotPress.
WPwatercooler,
And in
sponsored by
GlotPress,
WeGlot.
we're able to add a lot of new projects, including Openverse, Learn WordPress, the pattern directory,
Sean,
and
were you
patterns.
signed to
These
listen
are
to
now
this?
all part of Openverse, which we just heard
Work
about.
for you.
Roughly 6,500 languages in the world today.
WordPress is in 24. Patterns are in 24, and the pattern
So-
directory is in 25 different locales.
6,000
So,
some odd
our mission to
languages,
democratize
13,000
publishing, of course,
translations?
We're not doing it just for people who speak English.
Yes.
And this
Seems-
presentation, everything, we're trying to translate into as many languages as possible, so it's as widely accessible as possible. And
We're not going to
speaking of that,
translate our commentary.
there's
I'm
also been some
sorry.
exciting developments
No.
around
I know it's
diversity in WordPress.
valuable, but
So we created this new diverse speaker program and speaker support
Sean
program
stumbled on a
that
link.
had
Well,
135
stumble
participants
upon.
Stumbled.
so far.
Stumble
66
upon.
cities and 16
Here's a
countries
good
around the world.
That's a good
Uh,
program.
This is
I think
basically
this
a program to
slide,
help people who
Sean, is a
might not have
dig at
spoken
flat
a
earthers.
WordCamp or a WordPress
That's
event
what I think
before.
it is because it's like the
Ooh,
globe
yeah.
and it's like
Basically,
round.
It's
I think
That's-
you're secretly
guidance on how to do so.
Huge if true.
They have
Huge if
Yeah.
skills
true.
and everything like
Huge
that.
Right.
issue. Absolutely.
This is, I would love to grow this number quite a bit. And if you would like to get involved in one of these trainings in the
Wait,
future,
Why are we
URL
like
Josepha
25 events in
is-
2021? What? Why are we talking
Yeah.
about events? That's not something that's
Well, there's
exciting.
commentary coming out of the room.
WordPress.org/community and the magical WordPress Twitter.
Not
account.
ours.
I'll put that out
No.
Just
later.
like typing it.
Probably the correct answer there.
Say Reed says the
Some of
following.
these slides were changing until literally minutes ago. part of
Which
making
is why
WordPress
they
more
were
accessible
running
as well
late.
is about the learning.
Right.
And
Were
so
they running
last year I
late?
talked a lot about
They were like 3 minutes late when they
which is
started.
this idea, how do we teach more people the power of how to learn WordPress, teach them how to fish.
You know, I know these
We've
number
had
things are like big. This is a
186,
style thing,
social
but like
learning
I
schools.
can't
They're
read
basically like
any of
cohorts of
that.
people going through the different classes.
186
73 workshops and 70 different
And then
lesson
Social
why is
plans
social
learning
learning
that
spaces
teachers,
underlined?
college
Sean,
professors,
I'm
elementary
not
school
trying to
teachers
be
can
mean.
adopt and
I
teach their
just
students. This is all available.
They
in
were
just
20
doing
asking.
this
languages.
up to just a
And so far
few
we have
minutes
Yeah.
ago.
like a
courses that
good
people can go
WordCamp
through, which are like
presentation. You do
full
it.
collections
Yeah.
of lessons
before.
and plans.
But they didn't do it in
and things like
blocks. I don't
that.
understand.
This is pretty nascent as well. We've only had about 1,000 people
They
go
should use
through.
blocks.
through
Did you
this
say
so far.
nascent or
But as the
nascent?
content gets better and better, as it gets
He said
iterated on,
nascent,
we're
but I
working on
heard
this,
nascent as well.
I heard nascent,
kind of
but that's
improve
just
with every
wishful
single iteration.
thinking.
So when a class goes
Right.
through, they say,
I
okay, this
miss
was easy
him.
to understand, this was harder, and of course, it all gets translated.
You remember when he used
If
to wear
you are
like
looking for a way
flannel?
to contribute to WordPress, by the
Or is
way,
he always
Matt,
worn
hosting a
suits at the
workshop
state of
is
the
a
word?
very, very easy way because it's just a few hours
He's
of
wearing
time
purple.
to be there with folks that
like a
are
purple
attending
tie.
the workshop. And
It's nice
certainly,
tie.
if you're listening to this, you have more than
My
enough
baby woke up, so
knowledge to be able to share.
we
some of
might
your
be
work.
shortly joined by a
As this
toddler.
grows and develops, we're going to make it a much more
Ooh.
prominent part of what you see when you visit WordPress.org.
And my daughter will be here too.
They're powered by WordPress or proudly powered by
Big
WordPress
me.
on a site. I'd be curious in learning what it is. And so I think this is actually one of our biggest opportunities to just expand the knowledge of really what WordPress is and also define to a new audience what WordPress is through these courses.
Oh, we talked all the way over the learn thing.
Distribution of
That's
WordPress.
terrible.
I'm proud to announce that according
Sorry,
to
Courtney.
now
Sorry, Courtney.
43%
He didn't have a slide for
of
it,
the
so I didn't know what he was
Sorry.
talking about. That was my
Sorry,
bad.
Hala. It's yeah.
Yeah, we will talk more about learn and courses.
We also had,
Don't you
we
worry.
doubled the number of themes. that were
I think
being
I saw
Definitely.
Adam
Huge amount
Warner.
of
I
work
saw
there. Everyone who works
Jordan.
on theme moderation, theme directory, and we had the most downloads of the software ever. And this isn't including updates. This is fresh downloads of the software. So pretty much by every metric, it was a bit of a great year, which is impressive because like many online services, we experienced a big COVID bump. So to actually lap everything that happened last year was pretty
Can we
great.
say COVID bump?
But that
I think it's still too
43%
soon for
in
that.
perspective, it's
We-
actually 43.1%.
I love that Sean said this.
But we went from
Okay, good.
39.1 to 43.1 in the past year. And this is a list of the other top 5 in there. So the number 2
Did you
right
make?
now is
You didn't make
Shopify,
this
went
slide,
from
the one
3.1
with
to
the
4.4.
spreadsheet on it.
Wix is number 3, which went from 1.5
No, that was like
slide?
2 minutes
to
ago.
The other slide.
Yeah.
Oh,
Squarespace
okay.
went from 1.4
Did you make this
to 1.8%. And the
I-
only other
I'm
open
not gonna comment
source
about spreadsheets.
project that's still in the top
It's just a little
5
small.
is Joomla, which actually shrunk from 2.2% to 1.8%.
Okay, now
Rough
he's just
time
reading
for
us the
Joomla.
W3
CMSs are
marketing
not
thing.
taking
Like,
market share from each other.
it's
So what we're taking market share from is what W3 Text calls none, which is
Oh my gosh, come on, Matt. We don't need to
basically
compare.
websites that are running a not discernible content management system, which most likely means it's custom or something
feels-
that was kind of bespoke for that
Or
site.
This
classic
feels-
press.
So what we've seen is a huge shift.
This
used
feels.
to be
Oh,
a
you
website
didn't make the
purchase
slides. Okay,
site,
good.
running some sort
good.
of custom CMS of the site.
Then
from
I will
top to
just
none.
take off the
A
gloves.
huge shift of
This
them
feels
running
like
CMSs.
filler.
But one thing that's concerning to me here
Does
is
this?
Yeah.
the top
I mean,
3 used to be WordPress.
It always
Drupal,
kind
and
of
Joomla.
this.
Oh, wait,
the,
wait,
the
wait. He's
numbers.
concerned.
Are
Hold
all
on,
great
hold on.
Because we're all GPL. So as those
Oh.
grow, it means that there's more and more open source on the web. But we've seen these 3 proprietary systems pass up all the other
Who are
open
those?
source systems
Not
other
gonna
than
say it.
WordPress.
No, the
good news is
proprietary
WordPress is still growing
Shopify,
pretty
Wix,
fast.
Squarespace. He
In
listed
this
all
market
those off
share
while we were
analysis, we actually grew
yak-yakking.
2 entire Wixes this year, which is a new unit of measurement. And
Two
to put that in
Wixes.
perspective, we're still
Yeah,
10 times
Warner,
larger than number 2
Bob.
out there. This
But
doesn't happen
ha-
for free, and we shouldn't take any of this for granted.
Forget I remember his
In the
name.
history of software and certainly the internet, there are many services that were once dominant that now we need museums to remember what they were.
Okay, the
So,
really funny thing about this
to
is that,
maintain and, in
like,
fact,
when I
accelerate
was
this
doing
growth,
my
which we did in
introduction to
2021,
WordPress for
we
businesses
really need to one,
courses,
stay humble
I
and
would
stay close to
use
users and
the
iterate on
data from the
software
W3
as quickly as
thing
possible.
for, and I would make the
One thing
same
that's been in the news
freaking.
quite a bit.
Oh, really?
is also security.
Yeah, I had like
And
so many of
I'm
them
proud to
from every
say It was a
year.
good year for WordPress security. We
So
had over
I'm
30
bored.
people, of which a third of them
You're
are first-time
bored?
contributors.
I'm bored.
Contributing security patches. in
This
our
is-
security reporting system, 71% of the reports.
One part of
ended up
me
being
thinks
closed
this
as
is a
not
little
active.
more
And
automatic.
about 5 points is per duplicate, so this means that
This
someone
This
has
isn't
reported
automatic. I
them
mean, these are
already.
WordPress stats. So I
Security
mean,
Yeah,
is a
but-
process.
this is
but it's
all of
proof.
the
Anyone who
above.
says they are perfectly
Yeah,
secure
but it's like proof
is
of it,
tempting
right?
fate.
I
But
don't
it's
know
a
what it
process,
is.
and the investments that we put
Security.
into updating WordPress.
I've always
gonna
had a
talk
hard
about
time
Graphica?
figuring out.
I
I always had a hard time figuring out who this is actually for.
And CDNs like Cloudflare.
Yeah.
To whenever we are aware of something, we
It's
actually
true.
work with them
Like
first to
who
protect WordPress
in the
sites
WordPress
off at the
community who's
network
listening
edge
doesn't
or
know
at the
about
host
those
or data
stats?
center edge. In addition,
Right.
Or
to
is this
being
just
able
where
to
we're
catalog
taking stock together
the
and we're
vast
like,
majority of WordPress sites in the world.
I mean-
Matt has said
This
it,
is
therefore we are
incredibly
now at
important.
Yeah, but
48%.
Matt said.
And security is a
Matt
process.
said.
not an endpoint.
The
So
Apple
our ability
keynotes
to be one of the
always
most secure
have this
platforms
like
in the world
table
is
setting
100%
of
the
here
result
are
of
stats for
how
the
much
year.
we're going to be
Here's
able
all
to
the
update
downloads that the App Store had.
because
It's just
humans are
it's
fallible,
wankery,
something that
and yeah,
fundamentally
it kind of fills stuff
Wankery.
out.
all our code is written by
Wankery.
humans, as far as I know. So that means our code is fallible. So that means that somewhere in the WordPress, many hundreds of thousands of lines of code, there's something that could be improved or some sort of bug, which might have a security implication. What's really
no,
key there
it's
is
perfect.
how we're going to be able to update it.
There are no 7-year-old
Uh,
track
In
tickets.
terms of
It's
updates,
fine.
changes, improvements, we also did a lot of the block themes. So this is
Block
last year, we
time.
only had 2 of these in the world. Now we're up to, or 3, now we're up to 30. So we have a 10x, but this is nothing compared to what it's going to be in the future.
That says 28,
Um,
not 30.
Block themes are basically themes that are built from the ground
Hey,
up
they
to
were
be,
working on
customizable
these
and
slides.
for block editing. 2022.
He
which
can't
is
see the slides
new
that are in
default
front of him,
theme,
apparently.
which will actually launch in 2022 with the release of 5.9.
Okay, I
uses
like that
all
he
of our new
chuckled
tools,
that the
including
2022
blocks,
theme will come out in
JSON,
2022.
and the new
'cause
design
it's kind
tools
of
I'll
funny.
talk a little bit about later and a little bit
Because
next
it didn't before.
in this
It
presentation.
did not.
Right.
We also finally got to
Wait, what happened
one
with the
of
presentation? It is blocks,
uh,
probably.
as you know, like there's a limited
With the
number of
two-tone
developers for WordPress. So we kind of work on different things at different times, which means sometimes there's parts of it that haven't had attention in a while. And if you have recently updated widgets in your sidebar,
Those are the.
you might have seen one of those parts. But coming up, or actually now, you can now manage widgets
haven't-
with the
I
block
haven't-
editor.
As
Which-
WordPress
Haven't used
5.8,
widgets in
you
my
can now
sidebar
manage
in a
your widgets
while.
with blocks, allowing you to visually edit more parts of your site.
This is actually really
Here's
cool.
an
Check it
example
out.
showing off how deep customization.
This is actually really cool.
Starting with
Not like that other
blocks.
crap I was showing you before.
As you can see, being
Check
able
it
to use
out.
blocks with tons of new creative possibilities, from no-code mini layouts to tapping into the vast
Okay.
library of
The fact that we can center images, though,
Keep in mind
like
that you
that
have the
has
same
been
tools
plugins that don't work to do that for like so long. Like
Go a step
it's been
further,
needed.
add a duotone filter to create
It's
an
been
even more
needed.
compelling
It's
Quite a
been
bit.
needed. I do
Listen.
not understand the duotone. Do not get it. Do not. Are we like
saving
how is this not design
concentration.
choices inside WordPress?
It's so hot right now. I mean, have you not used Spotify?
But also some
No, I don't use
that we're gonna
Spotify,
talk
so-
more about later. The
You
other
know-
block,
I don't
maybe the
understand.
most
Also,
complex block
that
ever
graphic
created
looks
are the
really
query
bad.
blocks.
They should not have
So
left it
imagine
that
WP
color.
underscore query.
You know what looks really bad? Here's a transition. Ali Newman said
Ooh,
that she
Ali.
will get the chart as a tattoo
Okay.
if
Here we
100
come.
people like. I
There,
please
you can go a
don't
step
like
further
this.
to
Don't make
customize
her
your
get
images
this
thanks to new design tools.
pie chart.
There's
It's like
there's
this
now
moment
6.
in
This
time.
includes dimension control.
Right.
But here's the
Various
thing,
scale
Ali.
options.
If you ask for likes,
Your
you're
heart's
gonna get them.
content.
I have 10 accounts. I can make this happen.
A pretty fancy demo. I'll mention a few things in there. You
I
got
really
the
hope
block
it doesn't
navigator,
happen.
which is
It's
a very
got
I like
six
that.
lines.
Okay, so we've got Jill Binders also live tweeting about this, and she is correcting Matt's updates as he goes. It's actually 146 in
Finally,
2021.
one of the things that we're still not sure how to describe exactly.
Diverse
but
speakers.
We're very excited to be part of the design tools of
things.
WordPress is
Image
duotone
filters
filters.
like duotone can be used in even more places, like the featured image block.
Hey, say, listen up, more duotone.
And perhaps
Give me that duotone. Oh, at least you can change your colors a bit now.
for photo editor.
I still
Right.
don't understand. Why are we being Canva? Like,
We're gonna
Canva's
try to
good
go
at
back to the
Canva.
beginning of that.
Are we gonna put?
We might start
I mean, a
talking again.
Canva plugin might be good.
But if you
We're gonna
saw it,
Canva
those
inside
images were all
WordPress.
kind of different colors and they didn't really match. What duotone allows is imagine duotone being like grayscale, But instead of just going between white and black, you get to choose the 2 colors that it goes between. So
You
essentially
can
what
choose
you
your
do
2
is
colors in
really
Duotone.
cool, consistent
It's like
aesthetic for all
Photoshop
the
exists.
And what we're having here is actually being
In
used in the
Canva.
query
I'm
box.
sorry,
So,
Matt. I feel
Canva is
snarky
one
for
of
that
them.
one.
I don't understand it, to be
I
honest.
just this is too much on Duotone. I'm sorry. I don't. It makes me angry. Like,
every single
why is this a thing?
box. That's why
And
they
we
all
like
now
still.
look cool and consistent.
mm,
This is a pretty cool
Sorry.
tool. It's hard to explain, but really
no one.
fun
No.
to play with.
Did anyone ask for that?
So you're gonna get one of the latest block themes.
What do I
including
want us
download
to
the
be?
2022 one from betas.
Can you put that very existential question up on
We
the
got a little feedback
board?
there. Play with this.
I don't-
It is really, really
there it is.
cool. And another cool thing is that
I don't know what
themes
that
can, of course,
means.
define the default gradients that are
What does it
suggested
mean?
through themes.json.
What does any of this mean?
Who's us?
All of this is possible because of literally thousands of people that contribute to WordPress.
That sounds like a band,
Just like we
doesn't
did in
it? We're the new committers.
The new
I do
committers.
want to thank
Presenting on the
highlight
stage, it's the new
very least the
committers.
faces, if not all the names of some of the contributors. To our
Oh,
last releases.
Duotone is a feature for
So the
.com,
5.7
Daryl
release
says,
was named
and
for the
you know,
amazing jazz
hashtag not
bassist
wrong.
Esperanza Spalding.
I'm just.
And we
I
had
mean, it's also apparently
481
a feature
contributors
for
in
this
that release,
presentation
of which
specifically.
24% were
Right.
brand new. This is all of their faces.
Sean, what I want WordPress to be is longer than I can do in commentary, but please do see
5.8
all
was
previous
named
400 and some odd
virtuosic
episodes of
pianist.
WP Watercooler for reference.
One of my favorites.
we
Check
could
out
talk.
Tatum recordings. They will blow your minds. And in that, we had 530 contributors.
love the jazz
Again, about
references
25% new. And this is all of them.
Hi, guys
But,
and gals and
and for
non-binary people.
5.9,
Hi, people, just people. Hi, committers. You guys
your
definitely
face
deserve
could be
the
up here
applause.
still.
Nope, that's
I mean,
true.
not right now.
It's
But
not
for
being
5.9,
updated
we've
live.
already had 580 contributors to the core software. But
I
if you
haven't,
watch your
like,
avatar
I
up
feel like I
here,
should just go copy
for
edit
the release
something
post, there's still
so
a
I
few
can get my
weeks.
little head on there.
So you can test, submit patches, or otherwise contribute to
So those are all
WordPress 5.9.
gravatars, right?
And this is the folks who
Too soon. Too soon.
Those are all gravatars.
Just asking, not for any particular reason.
Contributors
I
show up
didn't
for
mention
all sorts of
Gravatar for
reasons.
any
To give back
particular
to the project
reason.
that helped them to network and socialize with like-minded people, to support and learn from entrepreneurs and other professionals, to gain valuable skills that are really, really useful, work alongside some of the best developers in the world. And
Here's
if
a
you have
tweet,
another reason,
Cosper.
drop us a tweet. So we're using the state of the word tag, but we're also gathering lots of feedback during this live stream and for whoever's watching this later. So use the
They're all watching
Speak
it
of the
directly through our feed.
hashtag, and
hope
we're going
not,
to check
'cause
that
that's
out and
everybody.
actually highlight some of them on the blog later. Block editors and visual editors have been around for a long time. But one of the things really unique about WordPress, and one of the reasons it's taken us so much work to get to where we are today with Gutenberg, is we are committed to doing this
Baby's
in a web
crying.
standards-based way, in a way where the code is very, very clean, which also means it's more accessible and highly performant. If you haven't yet, look up some of the benchmarks of Gutenberg versus any other page builder. It generally has much higher scores and much lighter code. We are on the cusp of finally coming to 5.9. This looks like an Apple slide, right? It's kind of cool.
Oh, see, he let his thing go. There's going to be a toddler in here soon, just so you
You
know.
can drag and drop,
Okay.
block spacing with a single control, border bar, flexible layouts, themes and patterns. You can edit your site logo easily, including make the logo bigger, which I'm sure some designers have heard.
Ask the toddler about Duotone.
The list view, which is super, super cool.
Just like, give me more colors.
Between relatively complex hierarchies of blocks very, very easily. And finally, the integrated pattern directory, which is probably the easiest way to essentially contribute code to WordPress that has ever existed. We've got a few demos here of what's in 5.9, and these are honestly some of the coolest demos we've ever shown in the state of the word.
The 5.9 release marks the introduction of the next generation of themes that allows greater customization and simpler build.
I don't argue with Lemonade Code Girl.
Entirely
She's-
with blocks,
Right?
meaning you get all the familiar.
And she is
editing
Gen Z, so maybe
tools and create
I'm just too old for Duotone.
to allow you to edit all parts of your site, including your header and footer. All
This
the text
voiceover is
theme can
very
be edited
soothing.
Using the block editor,
Right?
the homepage, your blog archive, or single pages. Want to zoom in on just your header? Easy. Using the top toolbar, select your header and switch into a dedicated mode to do exactly that. Once there, you can explore the new navigation block that comes.
Thank you for being quiet so I can learn how to use blocks.
With over 30 theme blocks, the ability to customize and create every part of your site.
I honestly have no idea how to use this thing correctly.
And do it in a fully responsive way, as you just saw with moving from desktop to mobile views. We've now got styles. These are
Styles
so cool.
introduce a quick and intuitive way to change all the visual elements of your site globally, from typography to colors to various aspects of how blocks appear. All of this allows you to achieve distinct looks by modifying the style presets.
Right? Jeff is right here.
2022 theme, showing how drastically different the theme
Yeah.
can be with tweaks. To the style.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like the events calendar, you put it together,
Tell the hatchery
blocks
theme. I
for
mean,
each
you're kinda
event.
stuck with
It's
that.
like, it's a lot.
And finally, we improved how patterns work.
But
Patterns
yeah,
can
patterns.
be used to create different sections like headers and footers. In a few clicks, you can make a brand new header without changing your theme. Open the inserter, switch to the Patterns tab, and select Explore to see what's available. All these new features help you get where you want to go faster.
Yeah, the voiceover person is doing really good on this.
Yeah.
Time and time again, as we look towards the future of WordPress, it's probably my favorite slide. We're finally achieving one of the things that WordPress set out to do.
I was trying to reprogram us to like blocks.
Yeah.
Feel a little old saying that. I think
I'm not the
starting-
only one who's dating
Well,
themselves.
actually now I've worked on WordPress more than half my entire life. I hope to work on it the rest of my life if y'all still let me.
Oh, we have a choice? Do we? Don't-
Well, it is benevolent dictator
awkward
for
clapping.
life.
This is why we
Insert
started
awkward
doing this.
clapping here.
When we first
I do like
introduced Gutenberg
Matt.
a few years
I just,
ago,
you
all the
know.
way to when we first showed the first models and
Democracy.
ideas of it in 2013, we said this was going to be the foundation on what the new versions of Gutenberg was, what the new versions of WordPress were built on, what our next 10 years would be. And not only are we enabling folks to express themselves and ideally uniquely on the web, unlike the cookie cutter that all the social sites try to put you into, the cookie cutter looks, we're doing it in a way which is standards-based, interoperable, based on open source, increases the amount of freedom on the web. Which
Based
is
on
very
open
key,
source
certainly to
cookie
me,
cutter
and
stuff from the
most
block
important
pattern
thing,
directory,
that I work on.
right?
As we're renewing our commitment to
No?
the open web as a whole, it's also
Unfair?
been kind of an exciting time. Just be
Open web.
following technology
Open
news,
web.
because a
Open
lot of
web.
people have been talking about Web 3 and
There it
Don't do it.
I'm not going to dig super deep into defining Web 3, because I don't think anyone really knows what it means.
No one knows, Matt.
But it is a buzzword that's now being talked about on NPR, Wall Street Journal. It's being talked
So
about in
you just have
context of
to?
global standards. And to me, what Web3 embodies is two essential ideas.
Wait, I wanna hear this.
Decentralization and individual ownership. And for me, those are both things that WordPress is both well poised to be already doing and to
It's
continue
true.
doing for some time to come.
Like, turn down the snark. I need to hear
Decentralization
this.
and ownership. WordPress
He's
is
gonna launch a
specific,
crypto.
but open source in general, you can
Over
participate
under?
in it from anywhere. There's 30 of us here. But the WordPress community, as we saw, is thousands and thousands of people. 15,900
I feel like this is
translators.
too much like COVID.
You can host
Like
a
the
site
COVID
anywhere on
charts.
any infrastructure that you like.
Like-
Create current forks of WordPress.
It's
And the
creeping
person
me
here
out a little.
creates,
I don't like it.
Penguin Press or whatever you want to call it. Take the code and take it on your time. And you're really only limited by your time and creativity, which is also an aspect
Privilege.
of
The word you're
my
looking for
favorite
there is
WordPress project.
privilege.
The other
Matt,
key is
privilege.
individual ownership.
You're only limited.
So in
By
WordPress,
your
as
privilege,
with some of
okay.
the best Web3 products, you own your own
Oh boy, here we go.
content, the code, everything to run it without any payment.
I'm pretty
to
sure
WordPress.
he's making the argument
You
that
can move your
WordPress
content
is
from one site to
Web3
another
already. Like,
easily.
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it. It's just
WordPress
Web3.
is
We're
exploiting
already
that has
decentralized.
become the de facto
We are
standard for
Web3.
all their CMSs. So even like a Squarespace, and kudos to Squarespace for doing this, supports when you export from Squarespace, they actually export in the WXR format. which
Okay, this
basically
is
just
like 10
something we
years
did, like,
old
15 years ago,
information.
which is take RSS2 and add on a few extra
I
XML
have,
fields. to create a
again, I
standards-based,
used to tell people
WordPress
this in
export
my
format.
presentations. I haven't
And you
taught
have
in
the
like
4
2 years.
freedoms of open source and the
And I
GPL,
said it every year for like 7 years.
which allow for
Why?
ownership for every individual, including every person in this
Squarespace
room or
exports
every
to
person
WordPress
watching
format.
this owns WordPress just as much as myself or Mike Little do, and an individuality of expression. Keep this in mind,
What?
and I would say apply the filters of everything in Web3, the NFT space, etc.
Oh boy.
There's been an incredible amount of innovation.
NFTs, I have to write it down. Hold
Has
on.
also
Wait.
attracted some hucksters and some
What?
kind of hustling things that
Hucksters?
aren't truly open. So you all are very familiar with WordPress. So for every project
We
which
are
is
familiar
asking
with it.
for your money, dollars,
Sorry.
for you to pay the cost of a house for a picture of an ape, you should ask, does it apply the same freedom WordPress itself does?
All right.
Actually, does it
Anti-NFT. I like this.
increasing your individual
For now.
agency and freedom in the world?
He's like, and now to announce the
It's also
Wapoos.
been a fun topic in WordPress this year because we've had a lot of acquisitions.
Oh, that's it for the NFTs and Web3
There are
stuff?
42
Thank
Dude.
God.
Slightly disappointing. I am bummed.
logos on this slide.
That's
A
bunk.
huckster
which
is
represent
a type of
acquisitions
con
I was
person
able to track.
or otherwise someone selling snake
For those
oil.
on the live stream,
Thank you,
something
Steve.
just crashed. We don't know. what
Somebody
that
has to play
was.
Steve for a minute.
Hopefully everyone's okay over there. On sites like Post Status has been a joke. Number of days since acquisition, constantly reset to 0.
Thanks, Sarah.
And it's been a
Sarah.
lot of these.
We
and
miss
I
you,
probably
Sarah.
missed some in this logo side, so I apologize, whatever I missed.
So wait,
so
the
some people have been
acquisitions is
saying
of
that
things
there's been
that
some
were
sort of unusual trend in WordPress
acquired? There's a word
or,
for that that
something
exists already.
Pantheon got acquired?
So one thing I like to do in the State of the Words is
Did they
also put
acquire,
more of what
or
we're
were they
doing in
the
the context of what is more broadly
acquiree?
happening in the
Acquirer.
technology and world ecosystem.
And they also
out
acquired
there.
Pocket
So I've
Cast
got a few slides to share to you.
automatically.
I didn't, so that was just saying
macroeconomic
acquisitions
trends.
are
So
happening.
this from
Right.
This is the thing. This whole talk
the
is just
number of,
stuff is happening,
deals and M&A
not like,
happening in just the
here's where we're
technology
going. Like
space.
Wait, but I think he's reading the tavern.
see
Maybe
over
he's just
there.
going through all of the last posts of the tavern.
Right.
It doesn't
It's like,
look like
here's
almost
our
anything
top
that
hits.
happened before.
Good stuff.
Except maybe 2000, 2001.
I'm trying to
I
withhold
don't have any
judgment
comments there.
because at some point he might get to the future.
But this is going to well over 10,000 transactions.
And then say Reed
in
is gonna
just
say
the
the
What is this
9
chart?
months of 2021
Technology, target,
alone. If you
M&A,
were to
mergers
broaden
and
it to the
acquisitions.
global
Okay,
M&A
still talking about
landscape,
acquisitions.
not just technology. We've seen over
Yeah, I was really hoping for
45,000
more.
different acquisitions. This is up over 24% from last year, which is already a huge year and represents $3.6 trillion of different mergers and acquisitions.
And Matt's like,
The
I'm
United
really
States in
pissed I
particular,
didn't
the
acquire most of these companies
stats
first.
there show 139% increase year over year from last year. This is driven
There's another
by
tweet,
another
Cosper.
trend which I found utterly shocking to learn and understand, which is capital.
This is
inflows
literally
to
meaningless
stocks.
data. I'm
It
sorry.
is.
What is
Says,
this
"Come and get
chart?
'em while they're hot."
Global equity flows?
Um,
Matt, you've
I'll
gone
counter
too
that
far
with
the
a
deep
Warren
end. We
Buffett
are
quote,
not
which is to
stockholders.
be
What
fearful
is
when
this?
others are greedy and greedy
This
when
is
others are fearful.
nonsense.
So basically what this is showing is dollars.
This is the
and
part of the
billions
presentation where I
of
start
money
like
moving from
looking
other
at
assets
my
into public
phone
equities.
and like looking at
So you can
Twitter
see, for
to see if
example,
there's like anything cool
kinda
going on.
02 through
Let's see what Costco's selling right
07,
now.
kind of plus
Yeah.
or minus 10, 20, 30, 60 million dollars going in and out of equities. We had some bumper years in 13 and 17 with 252 and 295 billion.
I don't put my baby on the
at
social
my
media or the
graph.
TV, so I'm gonna just talk with no screen
So far,
here for a minute.
the estimate
all
for
good.
2021.
I'm
she's-
looking at couches right now on
$1.6
Costco's
trillion
little catalog they got going
How
on here.
she's-
equity markets. So
He's trying to
if you
explain why
see
they and everyone else is
valuations
buying
going
everything.
crazy,
This
mergers
is
and
not doing it.
acquisitions going
That's
crazy,
not.
I believe
that's not
this
explaining
to be
it.
the root source of what's happening in the broader economic market. There's
Wait.
obviously a source before this. I will not venture
there
to
were
guess
something,
what it is.
or at least somebody thinks there
around
were something.
stimulus or
It's
governments,
capitalism,
something
Matt.
like that.
Capitalism.
Also,
That's what
my point here
what's
is that
behind it.
these trends are not unique to WordPress. So our
I
42
can't
deals
tell if he's trying to reassure
is
us
not that
or just
bad compared to
explain
what's
it
going on
or
in the
like
world.
make us feel
There's also been
okay
something
about
that's
it
been
and not
talked about in
worried.
context of this.
Well,
that
there's a couple
the
people
larger
look it
the
up.
company, the greater of the influence
I
they are
don't,
in the
I
WordPress
don't
world.
know.
So
And
do you think
I
there's
would
a
like to
camera
counter
light
that as well,
letting you know when the camera's
and
on?
invites more companies to contribute. So this
The
is a
larger the
graph for
company, the
WordPress
greater the influence.
5.6
That's like a personal
contributors.
challenge to Matt and Automatic.
You can see one of the biggest bubbles on there.
He's
is a
like,
company
is
I
it
always like
though?
to highlight and say the words, which
So-
is Yoast.
So
Yoast
something
is
that's
3 times
interesting is
larger than
Post Status, I
a few
think,
others
was
there,
on
with some
this
hosts like GoDaddy,
list of
WP Engine,
acquisitions,
even though it
which
has 1/5 in the
Medeiros
case of
pointed out.
WP Engine,
Yeah.
like
Post Status acquired.
1/80th
I guess
I mean,
CoreStar's not in
Corey
the driver's
acquired
seat.
it,
So
right?
the
Corey acquired
impact
it. That
the
was this
company
year.
Corey
has
acquired it
on the
from
work-
that
the future
Ledger
of
guy.
WordPress.
But
So
he's
it's
not a
Carl
company,
Hancock.
so he
Size
didn't
the company.
acquire it. He just bought it. What do
What
words
I love
mean?
this graph to look like in the future.
What do words
Right.
More like
mean?
this.
Wait. What is he? Oh,
There's
look,
no
Automatic
reason
is still the
that
biggest
if
one.
we really take to heart what's made us successful so
Who's the
far,
other big one?
that we can't get more
WP
companies
Engine
participating in
Yeah.
common
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy?
It's GoDaddy.
Or,
So when a company benefits
Jet,
from
it's
WordPress,
WooCommerce.
when you put something
It's
back into the
WooCommerce.
core,
Oh,
whether that's
yeah.
Who are the
translations,
little
community
people?
volunteering, or core code.
That's
as
how
this
he thinks
particular
of us,
graph
I
is
think.
representing.
we're all the
We're
little,
little
That
pink
people.
dots.
ensures that there's something left in the future for WordPress to be there. You can't run Wix or Squarespace on GoDaddy, as an example. So what I really
that
feel has gotten us here
Specific messaging to
is the spirit
GoDaddy.
of what we
Is
call
Warner, who is sitting
Five for
right
the
in front
Future,
of him?
which some of you all are
Adam.
familiar with. But I would like to expound a little bit for those who are maybe new to hearing about this or in other communities, because when we hear about things like, you might have seen this security bug that's going around with a library called Log4j. Who's ever heard of Log4j before?
Yeah, dude.
3 people before Twitter recently.
There's Adam Warner.
It's
He
caused
works
this,
for
very real
GoDaddy.
RCE, which stands
Yeah.
for remote
The other
code
big dot.
exploitation vulnerability, and basically every major internet service in the world. Trillions of dollars of market cap, from Apple to Minecraft, have been impacted by this. And
Yeah, Minecraft.
Gosh, I wish I had a slide for this, but have you seen the XKCD graphic? We'll tweet it out later, or maybe now. There's this fun comic, one of
or
the
maybe
coolest
now.
comics in the world, by the
Someone
way,
who's
that
we.
shows like a very complicated structure. And this is
Okay,
like the
Matt,
global
you're
economy.
describing
There's
a
one little
comic
thing holding
strip.
it all up. It's an open source project.
Yeah,
maintained by
my
300
wife
people
doesn't
in
like it
research.
when I do this to her, like when I'm reading the newspaper and it's like, oh, Andy Capperly did
Unfortunately,
something
we don't have this
funny.
problem
Let me
in
tell you
WordPress.
what
We
it
have
is.
Tons of folks sponsored, and we've been really key about the
There's a
future.
guy in a hat,
Um,
see? And
But
he's a
it turns
stick
out
figure.
that the folks working on Log, it is like 3 people making, and the person who's fixed the bug said they got a sponsorship of $16,000 per year fixing these sorts of things. So how do we avoid this in WordPress? What have we done that's made us successful so far? And
I
what
really
do we
have
need to
a lot of interest in this topic.
pay even more attention to in the future as more and more companies become commercially successful, as amazing businesses are built on top of the WordPress ecosystem, as web hosts get millions and millions of sites, customers paying millions of people paying hundreds of dollars per year running WordPress as their CMS. So what 5 for the Future is, it says that basically the idea is whatever you
5
get from
minutes on
WordPress,
5 for the
take
future.
5% of that.
We
and
may
try to
have
put it
talked
back
about
into
this
the
a few
commons.
times, Matt.
Are you
Every
familiar
year.
with the
Just a few.
concept of the tragedy
He's
of the
like,
commons?
don't make a foundation. Don't make a
It's
foundation.
an old
Don't make a
economics
foundation.
paper from
Don't make a
actually
foundation.
forever
Don't
ago. So the
unionize.
example they used
You
was
don't
sheep.
need to do it. It's
And
fine.
the idea was
We'll
if-
all
if
just
there
donate
were a lot
5% of our
different
time.
Shepherds, I guess.
Don't
And
sheep,
5% of his
and
of
there's
Automatic's
kind
time
of a
definitely
commonly
means
owned
6
area
people
of
who are sponsored on the
grass
marketing team.
in the countryside. It didn't really belong there. If all of the shepherds had their sheep eat as much of the grass as possible, or as much as the sheep wanted,
Oh, it's the commons
the
again.
grass would die.
Is he going to
And this
talk
thing
about the
which the
cathedral and the
law of
bazaar?
the
Because I
commons
have
would defeat
comments.
because of essentially overutilization by actors acting in their own self-interest short term, but against the self-interest in the long term. Some of you might think there's parallels to this in climate change or other things that are happening in humanity. In the digital world, at least, I think it's possible to have an abundance of the kinds.
Just WordPress.
So the more people that use a program like WordPress, the better it gets in so many ways. More bugs get reported, more translations happening.
Guys, the toddler got
more,
wooed away by snacks, so we're good.
More plugins.
Hey,
get developed, more things get
good job.
Snacks work. I kind of want snacks
the
too.
more people that use WordPress doesn't get any worse for any of you. In fact, the more people that use it, the better it gets. But part of
Okay,
that
this is more
some
justification.
percentage of
It's
the
not
people
worse
who
for you. It's good for
essentially
you.
directly
It's
benefit
better
from
for
WordPress,
you too.
Putting something back into
I
the
get
comments.
$5. You get 5 cents.
Fertilizing
It's
the
fine.
soil,
all good.
Everybody
planting some more
wins.
grass, however you want to think about it. Have you ever seen the take a penny, leave a penny? Little things.
Wow.
Those still exist even.
Wow.
still
No,
have
because
pennies.
COVID,
They've been
Matt.
trying to get rid of them for a
Also,
while.
Oh man.
Funny
penny,
story,
people
actually.
like a
I
penny.
used to
You're,
participate in
this
this
is Marie Antoinette
macroeconomics
moment.
competition.
This is
Amber
it.
Hines
Really cool high
posted
school.
on
Right here.
Twitter showing
And
that she
I
has a
got to meet,
bingo
at
card
the
that's going right
time,
now.
the treasurer of the United States, because we won the competition a few different levels. And I'm a high school kid.
I really like just tuning in periodically to what he's saying because
right now, but the treasurer of the United States, I was like,
And
cool.
her bingo card
You're
has the word
treasurer. What's the
barbecue
thing
on
you
it.
most want to do? And her answer was get rid of the penny.
get
I was
rid of the
amazed. So
penny.
the treasurer of the United States, if you don't know, actually signs all the dollar bills. I mean, not literally, but if you looked at a dollar, in
Matt,
your
stay on
pocket,
script, bro.
Wow.
Come on, you can do this.
Wow.
Come on, Matt, you can do this.
Or printed
This
signature
is
from
like
whoever's
when
the
your like
treasurer.
science teacher
Apparently
is like
pennies
rambling
cost
on
more
about
to
like
reduce than they do
some
to
tangent
use.
about the Beatles, and you're
So
like,
it's kind of a
dude,
funny thing that we still have pennies in the United
He's
States.
vamping. It's
Weird aside.
Oh,
it's
dude.
kind of vamping. Oh, is it
Like-
like in jazz? Like when you're just like,
Commons,
yeah. It's not about what he's saying. It's about the gap
What just
in between
happened?
the words.
Oh, no,
We
dude.
lost Tucker, maybe.
We lost Tucker and Matt. Oh no.
Oh, this is
I want to
not
know.
good.
This is not good. I wasn't done. I have more to say.
I mean, fortunately I can still keep the broadcast running. It's just a matter of figuring out when we're going to see Tucker again.
Cosper has all the power.
I have been granted some.
Let's read some things.
power.
Sorry, guys. We're in the blanks too. I don't know what to do about that.
Tucker just texted and said his laptop crashed.
I would just like to point out that it was not my laptop this time. And we
This
were just
time.
kind of vamping about stuff anyway, so we're fine. It's fine. Yeah. We're going to go to the state of the word, and I'm going to read you some tweets. That's what I'm going to do now. Oh no, Allie's tweet is up to 34 likes. That's concerning. She might actually have to get this as a tattoo.
See, the thing is if someone like Andrew Norcross tweeted that, he absolutely would get it as a tattoo.
No, go ahead.
I do not expect Allie to get this, even if she hits 100 likes or whatever.
No,
please,
me neither.
I'm imploring you, don't get it.
It's all sarcasm. I do like the fact. Hey, look, there's some bingo.
There's Amber's bingo card that just needs accessibility.
Oh, well, Josepha said access. Actually, she didn't. She said screen reader. I like that Fast is promoting their tweets on the State of the Word hashtag right now. So, I mean, that's hyper marketing. That's definitely what that is. I'm going to go ahead and look for Stellar on here because, I mean, Hazel totally did that too, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, look. Dimension Media did the XCD comic. Here it is. I'm going to screen share. Ready? Just kidding. Yeah, and sorry, we don't have the tech to bring that back. But Post Status apparently put out some bingo. Were these randomized bingos?
I think that they were.
Hey, Allie's there, and she saw the back of her own head.
Oh.
And oh, you guys, now I'm looking at Twitter and watching myself and myself. If I turn it around like this, are we going to loop into like some sort of alternate dimension? Is that going to happen? We might. It's actually it's buffering. Well, it's hard to talk about the state of the word when we can't watch it. Can we just bring it up on another?
I'm trying to get it pulled up on mine right now.
State of the word. Sorry, guys. Fail. I'm just gonna go ahead and play it on the audio. It's gonna be great. Tech is cool.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? There it is. But no sound. Matt is talking about Windows 95 now.
Yeah.
Wait, is he really, or is that a joke? I don't know. That's the sad part. Oh, that's good.
I think that this is this is why Tucker needs to come back. Yeah.
I'm not sad about it. It's gonna be fine.
Oh no.
Who are the people? Oh, look, if you show the live, you can see the people watching the YouTube live. Wait, not me though, right?
No.
Okay.
The
Oh
foundation.
no, he really was talking about Windows 95, you guys. I like the comment of someone in here saying, never heard of 5 for the future. Okay, this is important. Now he's going to talk about the future.
Oh, here comes Tucker. I will stop sharing my screen.
No, you'll need to continue to share your screen.
I have no idea how to share my audio.
No, wait. Not every single startup talks about democratizing anything. That's not a thing that's happening.
Cosper, you need to tell it to share another tab in Chrome, and then it'll give you the option to share audio.
Sorry,
man.
I'm a professional.
You are.
Barely.
Sorry, folks. I don't know what happened to my laptop. It just died, and it's saying it has no battery.
Well, I'm listening. I mean, I love a lot of the people that are there and think that they're awesome. I do not understand what that is. It's like a weird community summit. Did they say specifically that they invited contributors specifically when they did the invite list?
That I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how they work that out.
This is more justification. Is it just me listening to myself?
Backwards compatibility. In fact, still
there you go.
A theme that was written for WordPress 1.2, which was the release that introduced themes in 2005.
Yep.
Will still work in WordPress 5.9 coming out in January 2022. So we're really serious about backwards compatibility. But for Gutenberg, we said there's something new that's coming, which is going to be #worth it.
No.
To remind you, we laid out a plan many years ago, which we're still following today, around the 4 phases of Gutenberg. Just to remind everyone, 2018, we started the first phase of Gutenberg, which was around easier editing.
Oh, yes.
This was the introduction of the block editor and the idea that the block
But
editor will be able to
really
everything
easier
inside the post box. So we're
terrible.
Inside the box with blocks.
It was easier editing when you installed
We're currently in the
Press.
middle, phase 2 of Gutenberg, which we originally started in 2019, but it's all around customization. This is thinking outside of the post box.
Whoever made the slides, they're really cool. Why would you break customization on the
this
eye?
concept of blocks is happening now.
Zation.
Beautiful about this is one, all the plugins and things that used to have custom interfaces, which are now being built on the Gutenberg framework, inherit all of the work we put into accessibility, keyboard navigation, everything is built in
accessibility. Oh, that means that Amber got
also, when new users come to WordPress or new
Congratulations.
existing WordPress users are learning Gutenberg,
Did he say
they only have to learn things once. It used to be that the way to edit a widget,
all you people who have learned things already, you don't
using
have
a
to learn
shortcode
things
in a
once. But
post,
new
there were
people
like
only
4 or
have to
5
learn
ways
things
to
once
essentially
when they
do the
learn
same
React.
thing inside of
So
WordPress.
it's fine.
And we're now consolidating this
And he
all
did
into
warn
one
us.
block interface. This idea that the blocks are like Lego blocks and that they can be used anywhere. With 5.9, which is coming out next month, we are, I would say, at the MVP, the minimum viable product of this customization phase of Gutenberg. So I want to remind you of the next two phases that we're heading into.
I mean, what is
The third phase of Gutenberg is going to be around collaboration. Note, I listed this started 2023.
Google Docs, we're coming
I think
for
we
you.
don't want to leave phase two too early because there's still so much to do.
Right.
I'm forgetting the number, but how many block themes were there? It was like 38, 28?
There's 28 that you
That
said
needs
were
to be
30.
5,000. Like, we need to really invest a lot in creating patterns.
5,000?
You know what? Why do we need 5,000 themes if they're all customizable like that?
Yeah.
And they're blocks. Like, I don't understand. What are we
theming?
Like, this is a red theme, and this is a red orange theme. Like, what?
The more they'll enable people to
28 block themes. 28 block themes isn't cool. You know what's cool? 28,000 block themes.
And in WordCamp Europe, I get a really hard time for is the idea of multilingual. So we want to take everything we just talked about and essentially allow you to publish sites in multiple languages with a workflow
That's not a Europe only thing, though.
That's a plugin right now. So just acquire it, and then for phase 4 is over. Why is that hard? That one's not hard.
If you were thinking about
I feel like the multilingual one is not phase 4.
For y'all to get involved and join the journey of Gutenberg.
Be a dot in a world that
contributing
needs more dots.
Block themes, styles.
Help us connect
or
the dots.
If you're a musician or a photographer or videographer, to take some of that work and put it into the Openverse, not the metaverse, the Openverse, which is basically this incredible commons we have of content, which has the same freedoms like the GPL available for any of us to use.
I guess he's saying the Openverse is
and refresh.
Like
we've got
like
the
the
very
Openverse,
first version
but
of the
just
Openverse now running on WordPress.org.
one plugin.
One thing I'm very excited about is actually building that into the WordPress admin.
Not just
so
pictures, like you can put like
image or video or anything like that
in the
You'll be able to
Openverse.
choose the Creative Commons licenses. Maybe under an open license like CC0, which will allow us to index it in the Openverse, or maybe under a more restrictive license.
Creative Commons audio.
Whatever floats your boat. It's cool. It's all about creators having the control and autonomy to choose to license their content however possible.
I knew it was about the boat.
For those that choose to put it into the commons, that then becomes a part of what is shared in humanity and allows us to grow and create cool things together.
Did I messed up my microphone.
Usage and remix economy. Over time,
I
just want to build a
Is it good now? Is it working?
directory into WordPress. And I think we missed it here, but WordPress.org/
Openverse is a service for searching Creative Commons.
So if you want to learn more about Fire for the Future, go to WordPress.org/5, F-I-V-E. And one thing we
Fire for the Future is just a big
the WordPress.org photo directory, which is an idea for a CC0, which means basically
wait.
Totally
so the photo
open
directory
imagery,
is not the
which
same
is
thing as
available to be used
Openverse.
on any sites for commercial and non-commercial uses, and we're going to be building that CC0 directory into WordPress core.
I'm on my
So that
phone,
means
to be
that
perfectly
regardless
honest,
of what's in your media
Sorry.
library, if you set up
My
a
computer
site
died.
for someone new, they could, click on the media library, click Openverse, and say search for puppies or coffee or whatever it is that they're looking for
Openverse
image for.
versus
and be able to
Metaverse.
insert that
Openverse
just
is
with
like
one click
way
to no
scaled
post.
down for what the
And
Metaverse
we can do that
means.
really
Like
nicely.
this is a
So
really
some of the
like
Openverse
rebrand
attribution is
it
still copy and
because
paste. We're going to make
you're
that
making
so
the
that just happens when you
Openverse
insert the image. So by
really
default,
tiny.
it'll have attribution for content creators. People could always remove it if they like, especially if it's a CC0 image. But I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Have credit
I
going
agree.
to the photographers and people possible. So if this is
I mean,
something that you think
I'm
would
not
be
against
interesting or
credit.
that
I just
you
don't
have some
understand the
cool
parallels
content to
between the
contribute to,
Openverse and Metaverse. I think
check
this
out the
is bad
Openverse.
naming.
I don't. Yeah,
There are
it's
so
bad
many
naming
ways
is
to
what it
contribute.
is.
So
Mike
bad
talked
naming.
about it. It
Add
could
to
be
it.
40 hours.
I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense why you
a
would
week
want to
or
continue
4
to use
hours
that
a month.
name.
Anything helps.
Give it to somebody who wants to make a
And,
cool
contributing
open source
money is great, but actually time is
I
the
really
most
like those
valuable thing in the
colors.
WordPress ecosystem.
Contributing money
Design,
is great.
code, contributing to community or
what?
organizing meetups.
Contributing money to what?
Helping to learning. If you have any background in educational, what's the word for that? Educational
Education.
development.
It's the word is
Educational
education.
development. Thank you.
Okay, or
that
development.
would be amazing for our learn.wordpress.org project. Training or
Courtney, shout
documentation.
out. Courtney, shout out.
There's a number of ways to contribute solo or with groups. Companies that
You
start to
could have a
organize
contribution
contributor days
party.
for the whole company might take like a Friday once a month, and I'll get involved on the WordPress.org, make.wordpress.org, the Slack, everything that happens.
No
with
one can
WordPress
really
happens in
underestimate
the
how
open,
disruptive
and
it
any of
is
you
for
can be
people to just
involved with
pop
pretty
in
easy,
one
which
random
is kinda
Friday and
interesting,
do some
'cause
stuff
then
and then not
your
come
code,
back.
your
Like,
image, your something can show
Is that
up
not
in one.
disruptive?
Happens for 43% of the web.
Wildly disruptive.
If you are listening to this live or in
43%?
person, if you want to look at your phone right now, we're very
Grow my
curious how WordPress
story.
has helped grow your story. And
What
so,
does that mean?
another
That is
hashtag
marketing.
from the State of the Word one.
Marketingese
If
gone
you tag
wrong.
that with I
How
love
has
WP,
WordPress
it's
helped you
actually
grow
the
your
tag that
story?
we're creating the new testimonial page on WordPress from. So if there's something where WordPress or the WordPress community has an influence on you, I see Topher
I do
here.
love
I want to call it
WP,
an amazing site
but
called HeroPress
it's a complicated
as well.
relationship.
HeroPress.com. Yeah.
Hey, there's Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
HeroPress.com is an
that
amazing
Allie?
site which chronicles and documents
In the
people's
in the
story.
beanie?
In fact, if you have an amazing story as well, tweet it out, but also talk to Topher later. It'd be cool to
Hey,
get on there.
HeroPress was on
And
your
I think once a
bingo.
month we highlight those
Jason
on the WordPress news blog.
Tucker.
So, what
HeroPress
a year.
shout out.
Sorry, I'm out of breath.
That was a
I'm
really
also really,
freaky
really
nervous
excited
laugh.
to announce that just happened our first in-person WordCamp in several years.
Okay. He's like breathless about this.
WordCamp Seville, or if I'm feeling lucky, Sevilla, was the first in-person WordCamp after 21 months of virtual WordCamps. So they got together, 101 people, 17 speakers, and that was all the reports I've heard back from.
I like that everyone's wearing masks, but
I'm
not
so
spaced.
thrilled, both to be talking to the folks who are here virtually, but also to hang out with the folks here in person afterwards, after we wrap this up.
Ooh, hangouts.
I'd love to see also more of the WordPress community.
You guys ask
And
hard
so
questions,
one more
okay?
thing for this presentation is that we've actually locked in the city for WordCamp US 2022.
We're going to New York. Oh, yeah. My sister-in-law lives there.
And God willing,
I
be
have
in
a
San
place
Diego,
to stay.
California.
Oh, wait. What? Oh, that's not New York. That's San Diego.
Even better.
Dates and more to come, but roughly
We
around
will be
September
there.
in San Diego, California. San Diego is good all parts of the year. It's one of those magical
It's true.
cities, but
Not
particularly
wrong.
in September, it should be really, really nice.
It's
And I'm
coming to
looking forward to seeing all the faces here
And it's
again,
in
but also
September.
everyone who's listening now or in the recording later.
I like that everyone's
Hopefully
coming
we
to
can start
us.
to get together again.
That's
It's
cool.
funny because
That is cool. I'm
WordPress
stoked.
itself has always been massively
Also,
global.
usually it's every 2
Actually,
years,
my
right?
company,
So
Automatic,
2022
has always been really distributed from the very beginning.
Does anyone
We're
have that
1,800 people
on
now,
bingo?
but really from the
Automatic?
start, we were across many different cities.
Your company's
So
called
when the pandemic
Automatic, Matt?
started, everyone
I
came
didn't know you had a
to
company.
me and to Automatic being like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And it was funny because they were asking
Well,
how
there's
to
this
work
podcast.
together in a distributed way, which we have some opinions on. We have some experience with in tools like P2.
Is he going to
built
plug
on
his
WordPress.
podcast?
And so we did our best to share as much of that as possible.
Yeah.
But the secret sauce, I think, of both Automatic and the broader WordPress community has
Is?
always been these times when we get together in person, these
Ah.
meetups, these WordCamps, these events like this.
So distributed, but in
uh,
person.
Default offices default to be
That's the
95%
secret.
in person and 5%,
This is just
virtual,
his personal,
pre-pandemic.
like, steez
WordPress
talking
always
about
did the
distributed
opposite,
work.
where we're
Like, he's just
95%
like, but I
virtual,
also have to talk
but then
about
5%
distributed
of the
work
year
because
we
I
get together
love
in
it.
person. And
He's
I'm
also
excited
the
to get back to
leader
that,
in the
because
distributed work world, right?
relationships, learning,
So he's taking
everything
his
that happens
expertise.
when we meet each other is so, so powerful. So
That was deep, dude.
thank
powerful.
you.
You're welcome. Oh, he was reading it. What? What is happening?
Thank you to everyone who came via plane, train, and automobile to show up here live in New
Subway.
York City
Bike.
for this very special State of the Word.
Walking.
Most special to me that I think we've ever done. And thank you to all tuning in the live stream.
Are you saying WordCamp San
Now,
Francisco meant
We
nothing
have
to
the
you?
questions and answers. If you'd like more from me, my WordPress is
Sunny
ma.tt.
here, by the way, now.
I've got a podcast on distributed work at distribute.blog.
There it
and I'm
is.
at Photomat on Tumblr, Twitter, and
Tumblr,
This podcast is
automatic property.
distributed.blog.
now is the portion where we go to Q questions and
.blog?
answers.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm not going to
I'm-
mock
I'm
any
moving
questions.
around, so I'm masking. I am our mobile microphone, but we have a standard microphone also. We have people all over the place in the world at home, and we also have a resident question asker.
Josepha.
Just going to represent the online questions, right?
Yes,
And
correct.
also, so you all know,
Why is she
I
masked,
do not
but
know what
nobody
any
else
of the
is
questions
masked?
are in advance. I will be hearing them
I
all
would
for
be
the
if I
first
was there.
time, which also means I might not know the answer.
Just
So I
like
might
any
pass it to
failure.
someone in the audience, or sometimes I just don't know. So that's what happens with these.
Okay.
That's a good
Okay.
job.
I'm down with you admitting you might not know.
All right, so we can kind of start wherever you want. We can start with in person. We can start with some pre-submitted. We can start.
Just
with some
decide, Josefa.
submitted. We have an in person.
Looks like we have a hand right here. You mind coming over to the microphone? Just so folks on the live stream can hear.
Hi, Adam Warner from GoDaddy.
And if you have also a question, feel free to go up and line up. Well, we're going to prioritize, of course,
There's a
those
seat
of you
filler
who
coming
came on
over.
a train for 2.5 days to be.
Is that Allie? I can't.
And then I think Paul will be reading some of the
front,
ones that
yeah.
are coming in via the,
Okay, it is
the
Allie.
It's just
social
saying on
channels,
Twitter. That's
YouTube,
my head.
Twitter, etc. So
Okay,
we'll have a
good.
mix of both. And then we'll have food and drinks. So
Thanks so much for the presentation.
Barbecue?
Stuff. Looking forward to the
Uh-oh.
future. My question is about Openverse.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you could speak a little bit about the safety measures that have been thought about or will need to be thought about in terms of the content that is uploaded there. Will EXIF data be removed from photos that are uploaded?
ENSIF?
That's my question.
Not safe for work.
that's a
And
great question, actually. So first,
Actually,
I
as
do not
opposed to all
know
the
if we've
stupid
thought about
hard
this
questions
before.
I get
So you
normally.
actually just raised something really great that we should write down and look at later.
I'm sorry, no one's thought of
I
that.
will say that, so there's two things there. There's Openverse, which is, think of it like a search engine. So it's crawling literally the whole web and
With
looking
all
for
the
things that are Creative
WordPress.com
Commons licensed
drama
and
of who they
providing a
host.
directory of them.
How did no one think of that?
So what people publish to their own websites is kind of the state of responsibility there,
We're just
but it's kind of
mad.
like a Google,
Mhm.
but for Creative
The
Commons.
state of
licensed content.
responsibility. He's like, I have
That is
nothing to
separate
do with
from the
anything anyone is
WordPress.org
publishing on
photos
their
directory
blog.
that we've created, which is kind of
Hey,
like
JD.
a Getty or an Unsplash or everything, but all CC0 licensed forever and ever, by the way. We're not going to change that on you like some other photo directories have.
Unnamed photo directories. It's Unsplash.
That goes through moderation. If you want to submit to something there, you'll see that right now it says, hey, one of the checkboxes there, if it certifies, of course, one, that you have rights to the photo. Please don't upload other people's photos to it, only your own.
And everyone
But two,
totally
that it doesn't have to
check
be
that
human
box.
faces
If-
Right.
or other
yeah.
copywritten
In the
material
description, they'll say
in
no
the photo
copyright
itself.
intended.
So this first phase of the photo directory really focused on things that can truly be CC0 all the way. Something we've
It's
all
just
been
the boat.
learning
That's the only
is-
thing.
That's a little complicated.
That's the only real
is
CC0.
with humans and like a picture
do
of,
want an
let's say you had
NFT
a
of the
picture of
boat
a piece
now.
of art. That might
Like, I would
have
own the boat.
copyright
Like,
in
he
that
should
if
sell
the
the original
image
boat
isn't a CC0,
image.
something in it might be copywritten. And so
think
we're
we need
working
that
on
to
what
happen.
is an
Maybe
open
that's
source
what it is.
GPL CC0 model release. Yeah, what does that look like?
Can he buy
And
that from
that
himself
is a very open
for WordPress?
set
WordPress should
of
buy it.
lawyers working on things. But once we have it, I think that's actually really exciting. Maybe someone could
He's doing the politician
license
thing where
their
he's taking
likeness
a
as well
question
to
and then
be in
just
the
turning it into the
Openverse.
thing that he already is
Maybe we
talking
generate
about.
something with GPT-3 that replaces faces
Super
in it,
annoying.
and then that's the thing that's open.
GPT-3?
Or maybe
What's
someone even says, maybe
GPT-3?
while I'm alive, I don't want my likeness used, but maybe on my death, I bequeath my likeness to this open
GPT-3
commons
is
that belongs to humanity. There's lots of different
generated
ways this
faces.
could
Like
work.
this
Kinda
The
this
NFT
face does
stuff?
not
Imagine.
exist. This
But that's how
person
that's
does not
working right now.
exist. This I mean
Oh.
they use
We'll probably, you know what makes sense
AI
is
generated
something that
stuff.
maybe shows the exit
Yeah.
data you upload before it goes into the thing, at least for a photo directory. So you're just aware of everything that's being put in there. Location is actually fantastic to have. I
feel
have a
like-
picture of
I feel like
Stonehenge.
WordPress.com
The
and
location where I
the
took that picture is
lawyers
kinda
at
awesome.
Automatic should
But
really have
other
thought about
metadata,
that
which could
before
be
Adam asked this
contained in the
question.
EXIF, probably
So I'm
people should
really
be
hopeful
aware
that
of,
this is
right?
one of the
So
things that Matt just
we'll
didn't
work
know
on getting
about.
that added to the
Because
photo
this doesn't
uploader.
give me a lot of
And by
confidence.
the way, awesome
He's
question.
like,
Thank you.
what a good idea.
Strong open.
To think about. Thank you.
A great idea
Did we
if
cover
we open
everything
all
you
the
think is
stuff to
important there, or
everybody.
anything else? Okay, awesome.
Matt.
Bob, before you ask your question, can you share how you got here?
It was by train.
My
Next.
train,
Wow.
Seattle.
From Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle.
That's on the other side of the country, right?
That
Just
is on the other side of the country. And spending about 6 days on the train, 2 days here.
Matt.
And yeah, it's been an adventure. So I've come all this way. Give me some
I'm
woo
dying
for
to know.
2022.
Some move?
Woo. I
Oh,
want
Woo.
to hear what WooCommerce is going to do in 2022 in your
Oh.
eyes.
Sure. So Woo,
Don't they have
spelled
their own thing?
WOO, for those who don't know, is a plugin for WordPress.
Who
which,
owns it?
Creates commerce.
Is that owned by the
functionality
Openverse?
and
The
WordPress.
open? It's open
It's
source.
one of the 55,000 plugins that exist. But
It's
it is
just
a very
one of
popular one, an
55,000.
important one,
Just
especially
no
as we
big
look
deal.
at things like you saw
No one
Shopify
important owns
coming up
it.
on that usage graph. WooCommerce is an open source Shopify.
You
and we
using
hope that it can do
WooCommerce
to
is
democratizing commerce what
basically
WordPress has
you
done
working
to
against the man.
democratizing publishing.
So just remember that.
In terms of what's coming
Give
for
Matt your
WooCommerce in
money, not
2022,
Shopify.
the thing I'm most excited about that's most relevant for this audience is, I would say, embracing Gutenberg and the block interfaces for everything with Woo.
Yeah,
right now,
because
Woo
right now
still
Woo.
has some
Mhm.
ways of doing things which are more tied to the classic editor or short codes or other ways of creating like
You mean it
checkout
doesn't
blocks,
use the
products,
block
everything
editor?
like
Is
that.
what you're trying to say.
There are some plugins.
There
and
are some
experiments
different
around,
ways of doing things.
Gutenberg and blocks. And I
That's
think
a
that
nice.
Woo
I would love
did
if Woo
not
was one of
take-
the best plugins in the
Did
world.
not learn
for
JavaScript
embracing
deeply.
how to
I mean, it
use
learned it deeply for
And I
the
think
for
the
the
teams are
admin
working
interface that was
really
like
hard on
slowing
that.
Does
down
it?
It is
sites
an
for the
amazing
longest
team.
time.
They
But
learned it
that both includes
shallowly.
a lot of community
Right.
and a lot of folks sponsored by Automatic to work on that. And I'd say that's what 2022, the thing that's most relevant for this audience that I'm excited about is more Gutenberg and Woo. We also have the CEO of WooCommerce.
I'm just
here.
going
Does
to
that
say it
sound-
should all be
give me a
Automatic
thumbs up?
sponsored
That
people
sounds good?
working on
All right.
WooCommerce because WooCommerce is owned by Automatic.
Sounds
Just
good.
so we're
more
clear.
Gutenberg. That's kind of the answer to everything is more Gutenberg.
We have the
It's
CEO of
like,
WooCommerce here.
Cowbell. You can always have more cowbell. You can always have more Gutenberg.
Well, that was worth 6,000 miles.
Definitely worth it. Okay, Bob, you're funny. I like you, Bob.
Cool.
So who's the
Can
Morton?
we move to an online question? Or, wait, we got one in
Who's the
person, and
Morton
then
in
next
our
let's do
in
an
our
online.
in this
just to
room?
make sure we have
Cool.
everything
They
from those
didn't
folks.
invite a Morton or
So
anyone
my question is
remotely
about
resembling
styles.
Morton.
I think
I don't mean physically.
you
Well,
know, the
he
theme
actually
styles
resembles
and
Morton.
or variants, I think they were called initially, is a very innovative idea that lets people paint their sites, and it's great for developers, designers. and
Sean
everyday
senses that
users.
we don't like
So I
automatic.
understand that. I think what could be interesting, and I wonder if you've thought about this.
Sean,
is
I have no
perhaps
problem with
there's a
Automatic.
style directory.
I
we
just
have
like to
a
poke
pattern
the
directory. Is
hive's
that
nest.
something where in the
I have a
thought of?
problem
I
with
know
the
that there's a
cathedral
couple
and the
other
bazaar.
concerns. You know, we'd have to have
See
Yeah.
the PHP
a standardized
Foundation
way that
episode.
themes are being made, which we're moving towards already.
Good
So
stuff.
I don't know. I think it's an
Cathedral and the
interesting way to
pretend bazaar.
empower people to also give back to the directory or into WordPress, just like patterns. Like if you can save a pattern,
Yeah.
can you save a style, and then anybody can use that style? Is that something on the docket?
I'm going to fast forward a little bit here into basically science fiction. But if you can
Okay.
imagine us getting
There's the
a
future.
really great repository of truly
Are we
like
going to
CC
Mars?
0, Creative Commons 0 license stuff around images, fonts, etc. That opens up a lot of possibilities for creating essentially GPL compatible styles, like you talk about.
So it comes back
If
to
you've ever
Openverse. He's
watched
really
or
putting
helped a
all the
friend set up
eggs in the
WordPress or
Openverse
watched a
basket,
user
huh?
test or something, one of the
It did
most
not
heartbreaking
actually
things
expect this
is when someone chooses
to
a
talk
theme
more about
based on
like
the image
the
in the demo.
Openverse thing plugin.
And I learned this myself. So on one of
Web3.
the previous themes, like
Surprise.
2010 or 2011, there wasn't a lot
Pleasantly
of open source
surprised.
licensed imagery.
No,
in the world.
not
So
pleasantly
I just took all my
surprised.
photos and GPL licensed them.
You want
Openverse
NFTs?
is boring.
I think it's
I'm
2010. There's a
sorry. It's
picture
important. Images are
from
important,
Ireland
but
of some sheep.
stock photography is
road.
not exactly the most exciting
And
thing in the
we would
world.
literally do user tests where people are like, I
I'm
like the
saying.
sheep, so I chose this theme. And it's like, yes, I like the sheep too, but you could put any image in the world there. It doesn't just have to be a sheep theme. It's really, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you
styles
know those
right now
stupid
are tied to
users.
themes, and it's tied
You
to
know what
theme
I'm talking
JSON.
about.
And so I think
Those-
theme JSON
Those
is
stupid users.
theme.json,
They like the sheep.
which I call JSON. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I call it. It's the #1 thing. If you're a theme
Shucks. We
developer
all call
and
it
interested in
JSON.
developing
Don't we?
themes,
Does other people
look
not?
at that, learn
Is
as
this
much
a
about
GIF
theme
gap?
JSON as
GIF
possible.
GIF thing?
So right now, it's specific to the theme.
Right.
Is it?
Over time,
I didn't know that was a
particularly for things like
controversy.
typography, which is a passion of mine. My very
Wait,
first open
Matt
source
likes
code I ever
typography.
created, which was a contribution to B2, the predecessor to WordPress.
Just kidding. I knew that.
Was
You can tell.
Texturize, which
Go to his
was-
website.
I'd learned a ton about typography, and I wanted all posts to have proper typography. So instead of a
That's
prime
why we
mark
have the drop
in
cap.
between like a word like that's, between the that and the S, I wanted it to be a proper curly quote. So this first code I ever contributed to open source was texturized. I'm very passionate about this. I would
And then you
love
couldn't
for
copy and
people to
paste
be able
code.
to see the incredible transformations that can happen to a site through updating the typography, and particularly parents.
I love typography, but
You
gosh,
might have like a really awesome serif paired with really awesome.
this is so boring. I can't even
Something
like think of
that.
anything clever to say because
And
you're talking about
I think how themes
typography
evolve
from
a
like
little
20
bit.
years ago.
Actually, I'm not sure entirely how themes evolve, but to be honest, but
What?
it's pretty exciting that
What?
the theme can almost be a little bit
He
like.
just said he doesn't know how themes are going to
honestly, it
evolve.
reminds
He
me of
admitted
jazz.
it. Did you hear it?
I grew up
Did
playing
everyone else
jazz.
hear
That's
it?
why we name every
Yep,
WordPress
he
page
admitted
after
it.
a jazz musician.
We like making things
Um,
without
Jazz
understanding how
often
they're going
based
to
on something
affect the
called standards.
ecosystem.
So like a good chunk of all
Worked for
Being the-
Facebook.
jazz songs.
Yeah, it's
are
also
built
great
on
for like
rhythm
the people
changes,
putting
which is a set
genetically
of chord
modified
changes
mosquitoes into the
actually
world.
from, I think, a
We don't
musical
know.
song called
This is
I Got
stuff.
Rhythm. I got rhythm, I got music. Really cool chord changes there.
We
really
could ask
awesome
for
bridge.
lots of
And you
more.
people have written lots of other songs on top of that. What's cool is the chord changes.
Yes,
I think
and some of them
I'm a
get
little outside
sued.
of my realm of expertise here, but the chord changes themselves are essentially open source, meaning anyone can use those chord changes. Now,
Okay,
the melody you talk right
do
on
you
top of it
know,
might be
Matt, how
proprietary,
many
might belong to a
lawsuits
specific
there
thing,
are for music
but that
copyright
kind of underlying
infringement?
structure is open. And so I think themes become that kind of underlying structure. And then what people take on top
My
of it is the
question
chord
is, Matt,
changes. And
how
what people
are
create on
blocks going to
top
be
of it
easier to make?
could be as varied and unique as all the things people have
I
written
mean,
on top
ask
of
it on
the
the.
rhythm changes, as they're called in jazz, which is incredible. Thousands of songs, countless
So a theme is like a chord
millions
change.
of like performances and solos.
Totally
So
clear.
that's my hope for what happens with themes. And hopefully
Themes
we
are
can
just
get
like
more,
music.
we don't have a ton of CC0 licensed fonts yet.
At
So
that, at a
hopefully we
certain
can
point,
develop
isn't there
more and
just
more of
like
that
options,
content.
and then
And the
everyone makes their own
Openverse
thing, and it's not really
slash
like
metaverse
themes anymore?
is
It's
available
just
to
like
all WordPress
your
users.
site.
And the cool thing about Openverse
It's
as
a
well is
derivative.
the API is totally open. So
Yeah,
that's
like
available to Drupal users, Joomla users, everyone else, Wix users, Squarespace users, anyone who wants to access this content. It is something
Can
the
you talk about
WordPress community is
blocks?
creating.
I think
dude.
maybe
for
he likes
benefit
it
to
so
the
much
world.
because it is really the
So,
first
if you contribute to
cross-platform
that, you're essentially contributing to
creation that he
humanity's
has
repository.
that's
of
open source.
cool
I think
open
that might
stuff
be why it's
that's
so
available for
near
anyone
and
to
dear to
use in
him.
any way. So
That makes
Right.
sense,
I'm very
actually,
excited about what the
because
future
now
of
he
Openverse
can get
will
the
be.
Wix
We have
people
the
and the
very
whomever
first-
else
We
people.
basically just got the code ported over and the search engine ported
You
over,
can.
and not even the audio yet. That's coming in January.
Oh, there
And,
is audio. See,
I
confirmed.
cannot
There we
believe
go.
more in the mission of that. So
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
believe that. You could not believe more in that mission. WordPress's mission,
Ooh.
you
And you can line
know.
up
So
the
do you
times
think
or
he's
if you
going
want to
after
ask a question.
SoundCloud?
But
I
Is that like a
mean,
what's your
SoundCloud
name, by
type
the
of
way?
play?
Allie.
Yeah.
Hi, Allie.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
So I create a lot of content around WordPress for the people who are looking at WordPress in front of them for the first time, looking to,
this is directly
build
related
something
to her
with
new
it, having never
LinkedIn
used
course.
it before. And I think a lot about the young people who are looking at WordPress as a path to something, as a path to improving their life or brightening their future,
Mm.
whatever that might be. And I know that we have on the live stream right now a lot of young people watching and
Mom.
listening
That's me.
and being inspired by
We're
this.
the young people.
What advice would you have to those young people who are looking
Learn,
to
react.
inherit this world that we're leaving them, and what advice can you give them as far as using
Wait, Allie, aren't you a
WordPress
young person?
as a tool to improve what we're leaving them? No pressure.
I mean, if he hasn't thought about his legacy, that could be part of the big problem here.
Yeah, I agree.
Matt should not have
In
to
my
think about
life,
this
one of the
so
most
hard.
influential things I ever realized was that everything I was using, every piece of technology, every piece of furniture, every chair, everything, was created by someone.
That's
It wasn't
not
that
actually
much
true.
different from
But okay.
me or people I knew. And so there's crafts that can be developed when
There's this
you
thing called mass production.
focus on an area. And in fact, with the internet, there's more and more of this through YouTube, Wikipedia, online blogs, etc. There's so much you can learn about
Online
pretty much any
blogs.
area that you're passionate about.
Not
And
those
I think
Not the
for me, and it might be
offline
Steve
blog.
Jobs, someone else who talks about this, but just this idea that the things that I use and love were created by people not that much different from me was really powerful. And that's part of what
This is
got me contributing
I can
to
do
open
it,
source
you can
in the
do it.
beginning when I was, again,
I
I got
guess.
started.
There is a
on the
little bit
forums
of
B2.
when he says people
So
that are a
B2
lot
was the
like me,
predecessor to
because
WordPress. It had some forums probably run by like PHP.
it's been a
or
topic
something.
lately.
And I
People
just
who are a
start-
lot
at
like
first I was
Matt
asking
or
questions,
look
and
a
then
lot
later
like Matt.
I saw questions I had already asked being asked by other people, and I started answering them.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I cannot overemphasize how ignorant I was.
No, you could
as
actually
a
emphasize
17,
that
18,
some
19-year-old
more.
kid in Houston, Texas, who had no formal training, no university
But
courses,
definitely
etc.
whatever he thought of.
So
Him
I
and
think
Zuckerberg,
what's
those should still
exciting
be
about the digital
not
economy
evolved.
is that in this open
I
verse
think
that
I'm
we're trying
getting
to create together,
super snarky because I'm like super bored.
it
Me
doesn't
too.
matter who
I'm-
you are.
I'm
or
Ali's
where
question
you're
was
from,
good,
or
but
background,
this
it matters
question.
what you contribute, and learning to contribute is
It's like he knows how many
never
minutes
been
are
more
left, and so
accessible
he's just like
and
taking
more
as
open source,
long as he
more
can
open.
to answer one question.
Stretch it out.
The other
Stretch it
advice
out.
I give is
Here's the
How
advice.
many questions are we? Are we
Wait,
at
wait,
3
wait.
questions
This is
now?
the actual
Younger?
answer to the question.
You have a lot more time than you realize. And so try to invest that time, if there's anyone young listening to this, and what your passion is. You know, if you feel drawn to a particular area, I was actually shocked, both in my own experience and in seeing many other successful folks since then, and how being a world expert in XYZ, whatever XYZ is
Distributed
maybe 100 hours of
workforces?
work in some areas, maybe 200 hours of work. But when you're young, you have a lot more hours than folks who maybe are providing for the family or have full-time jobs or other things. So
Matt's
really
feeling
embrace
some
that
time crunch
opportunity
lately, is
of
what I'm
both
feeling for this.
school, education,
There's that
literature
biological
available
clock.
to you, etc.
Yeah.
Try to consume and absorb
Hashtag
as much
working
as
mom.
possible. I feel so much.
You feel?
One of
Is
my
he a
only
Pisces?
regrets
No, he's an
as
Aquarius.
a almost 38-year-old
I'm an Aquarius.
is that I didn't pay as much attention when I was in school. And
He
I
just
went
said
to all
stay in
public
school,
schools in
kids.
Houston,
So
but I had some amazing teachers.
good advice.
Like the text I was given, the literature, etc. Like
Make sure to check out LinkedIn
was
Learning.
free
over
or
at
inexpensive,
LinkedInLearning.com.
and was really passionate from these teachers of some of the best things that humanity's created so far. So check that out. And the code equivalent of that is WordPress in a lot of ways, meaning that, again, you can think of the other largest internet services in the world, Amazon,
It's really
Microsoft,
hard to
Facebook,
riff on
etc.
this. It's just
You can't go.
He's not even
and
saying
look
words.
at how they work.
Yeah, I'm
You
so
can't
tired to
suggest
be
a
perfectly
change
honest.
how the Google homepage works or the Facebook algorithm or anything like that. Those are all proprietary. With things like Wikipedia and WordPress, it's all open source, which means that
And you can suggest a change and it'll
the
sit
WP
in
admin
track
homepage
for like
change.
11
which
years.
hundreds of thousands, millions of
And then
people see
eventually
and
someone will
impacts
close it
a lot of folks.
because,
So open
oh,
source
that's like a
for me was
7-year-old
a
bug.
huge
It's fine.
enabler. Again, not growing up in the Bay Area or other traditional, like
And 11
Seattle
years
or other
later,
traditional,
someone will be like,
centers of
"Hey,
technology.
you had a good
It's
idea
really
one
exciting
time."
for me. So
Right.
I'll start with that. Hopefully that gives folks and maybe younger folks like something to start with. And I saw Josepha raise her hand, so maybe you have something to add there.
Did you see
I also
Michelle and
have an
Allie's
additional
faces?
thing.
They were
Can I
like,
introduce you really quick?
Of course.
"Yeah,
So
sure."
Josepha is the lead of WordPress.org. So
She's the lead? I thought she was the director. Sean, we were using you as an example, actually.
She is all the
So you know.
cool things we talked about around like the directories, etc. Joseph is in charge of that. So she really leads the community development of WordPress.
I really thought
everything
she was
around
called the
that. So
director of
thank you,
WordPress.
Josepha.
Isn't
And
she?
Now,
That's what
And
I
nowadays-
thought.
So,
Because he just called her the
I
lead?
think also one of the most
I'm the
important
Google.
things.
That seems like a
I'll look
demotion.
at you, Matt. I think also one really important thing to remember for people who are getting started with WordPress for the first time is that the open source
Executive
nature
director
of it does mean
of WordPress.
we
Yeah,
also have
that's
really
different than
active and
lead.
passive ways to learn. some of the most
Real different.
vital.
Well, you know,
I'm
when
actually
you
gonna
don't
tweet
really
about that one.
use,
The workforce of
when
the
you don't
future
use
will need.
real
We need it
titles?
now, but not all of us actually are any good at it,
Right.
at it in the world. WordPressers are generally really, really good at it, and there's a reason for it. It's because we do it every day. And so like that in my immediate advice that I can give to people, that is the
Baby's
main
back.
thing, is like observe the way that this works, because it's going to be relevant from here until they're done wanting to work.
Anything else in the audience? Because we have an unusual audience here. Here we go. Do you mind introducing yourself really quickly?
Yeah, I'm Michelle Frechette, and I'm with Stellar WP, but I also do a whole bunch of other stuff in the community, which is fun. So my question is actually off of those two responses as well, is we have a ton of education out there, right? So whether it's through learn.wordpress, whether it's people on YouTube, all these opportunities to learn about it. What are we doing to bring the next generation in to help continue to grow? I'm watching the age of people I see at WordPress continue to grow, but not a ton of people coming in with us, right?
I don't know. I'm looking around. This is a very youthful group.
Well, I'm one of the old.
On that shot, it was not well.
What are we doing to bring? I mean, I tweeted last week Olivia Bissett. She's in middle school at a hackathon.
Youth
I think I tagged her in my
embodied.
tweet. And she herself, with her sister, put on a huge hackathon of all middle schoolers. But that's unusual. So what are we doing to make sure that the next generation of kids is going to want to continue?
She's like, so what Allie asked, but we're going to ask it again.
You stole my answer because I was going to talk about David and Olivia Bissett. David Bissett, one of the most prolific tweeters about WordPress. Hi, David. We'll post a lot of GIFs from this talk. Olivia is his daughter.
He sounded amused.
And already started to be really active in the WordPress community.
Is
Put that back to everyone in this room and everyone listening here as well. You know, the old
Matt, when are you having
adage,
kids?
like you teach a person to fish, or you teach a person, you give a person a fish, you feed
don't
them
do
for a
that
day,
to
you teach a
people.
person to fish.
No, I mean,
you
he
feed
was
them for
just
their
saying,
lifetime.
you know, he's putting it back on us. I was putting it back on
think
him.
You just give a person
Okay.
a blog,
Just
or even worse, a social media account.
sensitive topic for Cosper.
You feed them for a day.
It is
You teach
a
them how to create
perfectly
the web,
valid choice.
which is
It absolutely
in many
is.
ways,
I
in my
agree.
opinion,
Not
the
being
most
sarcastic.
amazing actualization of shared humanity and knowledge. Like, how do we create something that lasts beyond our own individual lifetimes? It's the web.
Why are all billionaires obsessed with lasting past their lifetime?
It's adding to the information that's part
I have
of
no
what
idea.
hopefully goes
Because they have
forward
the
for
money
future
to
generations,
attempt to do it.
and then allows us
They're
to
like,
sort of
I'm
pass-
cool.
skip
I'm
all the
extra cool.
mistakes,
I
skip
should
all
just
the
get to live
learnings,
forever because I have all
to
this
what's
money.
latest. It's upgrading the clock speed and version of humanity. So for
What?
anyone who's listening,
The
mentoring
clock speed
and guiding
version of
someone
humanity?
younger than yourself
Computer stuff.
and to participate in the WordPress community is you get like a, what is it?
Can we have a badge? I want a badge.
You get like an extra.
I want a
special
badge on my
bonus,
.org.
and sort of like.
Is he promising us
history
like
of
heaven?
open source in the world.
You can do what
if you
this
bring
guy
someone new into it.
suggested
So
for
I
a
highly
lasting
encourage you.
legacy.
And there's so many. If you look at some of the biggest contributors to WordPress over the years, Ryan Bourne or Nason, etc., part of their legacy, beyond just all the code they wrote, is all the people they brought in, and the folks who felt like, you know, they knew a lot, but they weren't able to contribute or something. And they said, no, you got it. You can be a core committer. You can be someone who patches a core bug. You could be someone who
You too
translates
can be
into
ignored
WordPress into an entirely
because
new
you're
language,
not sponsored
or
by the
preserve
correct
the language
company.
for posterity. Like, there's so much you can do using WordPress as the launch pad for contributing something positive to humanity. And so that is, I think,
It's too bad we don't have a state of the word where they could
so
like showcase some examples
I
of
don't
that.
know.
That'd be weird. Wouldn't that be
what
cool?
is perfect
Oh
for
wait,
the young people.
wait.
Because I'm not one of them anymore. I was when WordPress
Bullshit.
started.
Matt's
For
not
instance,
thinking about
do you
young
have
people.
anyone in
He
your lives,
degaffed
both
that
here in the
right there.
audience or broader in the
He's like, babies are
folks
cool.
watching this,
Teach your kids to
that has that
code.
desire to have an impact?
Anyone who
teaching
has
them how
that
to be
desire,
involved
you
with
do
open
it.
source, and
I
whether
ain't
that's
touching
WordPress or
it.
some other open source project, I think is the best way to contribute to
I
the,
think
the
he
future
just
of
said
humanity.
that's a you problem.
So, thank you. What's that? More kids camps. Yeah, we do have some kid camps. So very specifically, we have kids camps at places like WordCamp. Was it Orlando? Miami, yeah. Which David.
U.S. You took a picture with the mascot and the children.
Let's
cool.
all be
It's
more
cool.
like David. If you have kids, why aren't they contributing? Like, no, I wouldn't put that on.
This is an awkward topic.
What do you ask them? So, like,
This is very weird.
This
tell
is
them
weird.
Don't contribute to WordPress, and then maybe they will.
No, take your kids to
I don't quite understand.
Take
what's
your
going
kids
on.
to WordPress.
Parenting tips
That's
from
actually
Matt.
an awesome idea.
We'll talk later.
Oh, okay, we'll talk later. Should we do one from online?
This is a question from, I've lost the name, but it was essentially, there was a couple of references to the metaverse, and I think like sort of a joking way, but thoughts on WordPress in virtual reality.
Wait, were we
in
joking?
Virtual reality.
Oh, this
like
this is going to
open
be a
source.
good one.
Like open
Let's
source.
pass the mic
Come on,
really
dude.
quick. You wanted to say something? Hey, no, we got one.
He's passing
Here,
it.
you
He's
go.
not touching that one.
Again, the
He's like, let someone else
intelligence in
talk
this
about it.
audience is far greater than what I have, so I want to push this back as much as possible.
I just wanted to say WordCamp Austin did do that, if not earlier this year, it was last year. They had a virtual reality WordCamp.
Oh, cool.
And it was last year. Thank you. Just, yeah.
I like how he's like,
It's a tricky one. I don't know how to answer that.
You guys
to be
answer that.
honest, because
I don't
like
know.
the internet is virtual reality, just kind of text based. And then when you think of other ways,
It's
of
already
interfacing
virtual
with
reality.
like
You are already
VR
in
headsets
Openverse.
or AR, etc.
That's some
One good
Zuckerberg
thing
stuff. He didn't touch it.
WordPress is great at dealing with content. So don't
He
build
just
on top of
narrowed our
WordPress if you're
scope.
building like a messaging system or a real-time game or something like that. But if you're making something that like essentially is people inputting,
He just told us not to use
content
WordPress
and
for
outputting
stuff.
that to the world, you should probably be building it on WordPress. Whether it's real estate, records.
That's actually the first
almost
like
anything.
structural
It's content going in
parameters
and
for
out.
what you should
That's
build
for
with
your
WordPress I've ever heard from Matt. Like ever.
When
Before it was like
companies,
build apps on WordPress.
nameless, should talk about this idea of a metaverse. They often talk about the interoperability. This
He
idea
won't say
that
it.
content or items that you create in one metaverse is available in all of them. If
called
I
an
imagine my most
NFT.
sci-fi thoughts of the future, science fiction,
Matt goes sci-fi.
it's hard for me to imagine
I don't think that's
that
his like
if
genre.
humanity interacts more and more in a virtual space, that'll be controlled by one company. I really think it'll look more like the
It's
web,
hard to imagine that. Have
like
you
a
read
place where
1984,
people
Matt?
can register
George
domains.
Orwell
We actually
remembered
had
that a
joke in
long
here I
time
forgot
ago.
to tell.
So A Brave New World was written by Aldous Huxley.
What if
What I don't like about this is
there
he's
were
not an expert in
something
this,
like
but
a
we're
DAO,
asking his opinion
a
on it.
distributed
So he's
autonomous
not really,
organization
he doesn't have an answer, so he just say, I don't know.
that managed
But
a
instead,
namespace
he's just going on and on
which
and
you
on.
could pay to own a part of. And in fact, there's no gas fees for that owning part of it. The fees are borne by the merchant. That
I'm
would
not a fan of
essentially
this, to be honest.
buying a domain with a credit card on any registrar. So we have things already that any person listening to this can have true ownership of, like a domain that's their like home on the internet. Internet is the best metaverse we've created so far, and part of that's because of the interoperability and the open standards that these things are built on. Patent-free standards as well, which I'll emphasize. To the extent that things will be, I don't know exactly what it'll look like. Nothing I've seen so far is that compelling, but to the extent that there are fun content-driven things that are going to be part of the next
He's not going to
generations of
mention the
web,
WPW NFTs.
Web 3, Web 4, Web
He's
5,
not.
Web 10. I expect
I like that
WordPress
he's
to
like
do it.
just poo-pooing Web3. He's like, this is relevant.
We've got an in-person question.
Okay.
Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. My name is Bud Kraus. We've never had the pleasure to meet, but I've heard you speak at several of these.
Thank you.
And
Oh, hey,
welcome to
Bud.
New York. So all I want to know
He's
is
quoting Taylor
this is
Swift.
a brand new space. Sorry that for the people who aren't here. but this is a brand new space. What are you going to be doing here? And can we use it too? The people that live in this area?
Whose space is it? What?
Yeah. So for those who are watching online, we're in this cool space in the NoHo, which means north of Houston, which is a New York incorrect way to pronounce Houston.
Yeah, he's Texas. He was not going to let that go.
Which is the city where I'm from, neighborhood. And it's a cool neighborhood. It's near a lot of public transit, and it's a cool space. A company I'm involved in, CEO of Automatic, when we purchased a company called Tumblr, got the space. And so
this is going to a
this
very
until
non-distributed
2025.
place. He's like, I hate this
Not
leaf.
coincidentally, a lot more of the people working on Tumblr and everything we do have gone more distributed. So there's not many people in this particular space.
So
as
he's
there
at the
used to be.
Tumblr offices.
But we try to create this in a way that, much like tonight, could be a place that people use for events and other community things. So if you're
I was
interested
wondering
in
where
doing
they
that
were.
for something particularly open source driven within the community, we're happy to open up this space for anything in the future.
I am
And a
so planning an
cool kind
event
of
in New York.
aside
It's
is
happening.
all the art in this space, including what's behind me, is from people on Tumblr.
I
And
really
so
thought
these
he.
are all
Wait,
published
are they?
on Tumblr. So all the art that'll be in the space.
Is it
and eventually,
CCO?
right now we have this wall covered. We're going to cover every single wall here. So we have
Who
many
owns
thousands of square
the
feet to
art?
cover still.
Are these
It's all going to be
NFTs?
people
I'm
who
so
publish on
confused.
WordPress and Tumblr. And in the future, Tumblr will be powered by WordPress. So that'll happen. So it'll all be
In
the
the
same
future,
thing.
Tumblr will be part of WordPress. You guys, did you hear that? In the future, Tumblr will just be part of WordPress.
To put
Will
their
be powered
content
by
into the
WordPress.
openverse.
Oh, does he say powered by?
I think
said
so.
powered by, according to the captions.
All right.
My name is Daniel.
I have a lot of questions about this art
You
in the
mentioned about
Openverse. Are those from the
Gutenberg Phase
Openverse?
3, which will be collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what can we expect at that phase of Gutenberg?
This guy's like,
That's
yeah.
a
I
good
have another question about Gutenberg.
Because I talked twice as long as last year, but maybe missed that particular point.
And also have
So the
said
collaboration phase,
so little.
phase 3 of Gutenberg is, imagine Google Docs is probably the best analogy. You know how when you're in a Google Doc, when someone else is editing at the same time, you see exactly what they're doing, what they're changing.
WordPress does
So
Google Docs.
imagine every single thing in WordPress updating in real time as other people edit it. So there's no
He just,
more version
like,
conflicts
he's
or
really
anything
had
like
a
that.
Google
Literally, WordPress represents
like,
the
you know,
kind of
we're going to
real-time
update like
source of
Chrome.
truth
We're going to
for whatever
collaborate
the
like Google
content,
Docs.
whether it's again posts.
Did I mention my
pages,
sister-in-law, whose
or
desk I'm
other,
using right now,
is
works
in
for
real time.
Google?
And then there's both a real-time awareness and workflows
We're
around.
sponsored by
editing
Google.
that.
Here, do you have any Google?
And so the real-time awareness is kind of the easy part, actually. It's that part where when someone else is editing at the same time and you're editing it, you see what's happening. So there's no
So you can
conflicts.
watch.
The workflow is a little
Instead of kicking
trickier.
people out.
And that's what I'm actually more excited about working on, where workflow is a word we use for
I was just
someone
thinking about
edits it, someone
revisions and how
approves it,
confusing
someone,
restore
like,
this
there's different
autosave
stages
button
of
is.
different forms of
Like,
content.
which
is
one?
also very relevant
Which one's
for
the
translation.
autosave? I think we need to fix
Um,
that problem
someone writes
before we
their
get into
content,
collaborative
let's say,
editing.
in English,
Or maybe we'll
gets
fix that
translated
with
into another
collaborative
language.
editing.
I realized this personally to share another weird story like the economics thing. On WordPress.com, we used GlotPress and allowed anyone to
Did
translate
this used
any
to be
string
amusing
on
to me, or is it
WordPress.com.
just like old now?
And for a while,
I can't tell.
on every
Am I
forget what
older or is
language
this
it
more
was. Let's
boring?
just call it Italian. Instead of
No,
saying
this is
leave
pretty
a
boring, to
comment
be
on every
honest.
Italian blog,
I really
posted on
wish I had something to
WordPress.com,
riff on
it
with
said
this.
happy
I don't get
birthday.
it.
It's
So
not
someone
funny.
obviously
It's not
was like
funnyable.
trolling us and said like instead of leave a comment, it'll say happy birthday. So that was actually pretty funny. Whoever did that, I'll buy you a beer. But ideally, there would have been a workflow.
Whoever
where someone
hacked
else
that
who speaks
Gravatar
Italian
database, no beer
would
for
have
you.
said, "This says happy birthday."
He'll buy them a brewery.
How do you even say that in Italian? Does anyone know?
Afford it.
Happy
I never say
birthday.
Feliz Navidad. How do you say like happy birthday?
That's
and
Spanish.
That's Merry
That's
Christmas.
Spanish.
What is the happy birthday go? What's that? Bruno Tally? Okay. We'll
Was
go
that
there.
Ellie?
Someone would have
Allie
seen
knows
that and said,
everything
that
somehow.
doesn't mean leave a comment. And we shouldn't put this on the homepage of every single Italian WordPress in the world. So that workflow, I think, is key.
Did
to
he just talk
phase
about a hack?
4 of
I'm
Gutenberg,
super confused.
Which is why.
Or that was just
it's
a
part of
developer
phase
error.
3. So collaboration is.
Or no, there was a
the
beer
fun
involved.
part, which will be easy
I
and
just
hard
can't
at the same
track.
time, which is that
Is this
kind of
me?
real-time
Is it? I really
co-editing.
need to understand.
And
Is
there's
it
some
me?
cool new standards and browsers that allow us to do this in a decentralized way, which I'm really excited about, using essentially
Someone
features
did
built into
what?
Chrome and others that allow us to like connect multiple people editing a page or post at the same time.
Someone
news.
snuck.
An open source
Yeah,
technology.
no, I was gonna say
But,
someone
the
snuck
more, like,
a
approval, et cetera,
incorrect
is a little bit
translation
more of the
into the
latest
Italian
history.
translation.
2023
of,
will
Yeah, but like someone at
For
WordPress.com
now, contribute to open
or on
verse,
WordPress.org.
block patterns, blocks, and block themes.
I missed that
is
part
the
because we
key
were
for
chatting.
2022.
Sorry.
Again, if I get on stage next year and say there's 30, we've gone to 40 block themes, utter failure. Please throw fruit at me or something else.
There's lots of fruit in San Diego. Don't tempt us. I'm bringing fruit.
These block enabled
Maybe
themes,
raspberries.
and that that's updating existing themes and creating new ones. Allow people to express
Blueberries?
their creativity online through the Gutenberg editor. Again, right now,
It's called
if you
the
look what
block
social
editor when
networks
it's being
do,
used on
they
a real
try
site
to
in production.
really narrow you into a very
He's loosey goosey.
limited expression of creativity.
I guess.
Why? Because they want to serve ads against your profile and what you're creating. They want to target you. That's not what we're trying to do with WordPress.
What about
So
that
we want you to
profile and
create
being
the most
targeted,
unique,
Gravatar?
cool stuff online as possible. And blocks enable people to do that. And I'm looking forward to more and more of it. Does that
What
answer
about
the question?
spheres,
Yes,
though?
thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Do spheres do it? Pyramids?
Spheres?
Oh, wait, are we done?
So someone stand up over here. Was that?
No.
Oh, okay.
It just keeps going. Yeah, breathe through it. You got to
have
breathe through it.
preempted so many of
We're
the
doing
questions
this.
that were
We're doing
submitted.
this for ourselves.
We're
and for
getting you
people.
one though.
So, somewhat related to the what you were just speaking to. The question is, so soon we'll have blocks that allow you to drag everything everywhere. We'll soon
We don't
have
have to
a
stand
ton
up.
of free images, patterns, etc.
So is he a
How are we
vampire?
going to make all of that easy to understand and use for users?
Ooh, learn WP. This is so
Yeah,
easy,
that's
Matt.
a problem. So this is what it's going to be, I think, the focus of core WordPress iterations over 5.9, 6.0,
Come on.
6.1, and beyond.
Prop learn.
Is I'll say it in an abstract sense, which is things like user tests. And we do run these,
don't
and we
understand,
publish
like,
them
who is
on our
he,
Make WordPress
like, pulling
blogs,
punches
which
for?
is where we'll ask someone.
Like he's like, I'm not
who's
going to
never
tell you
used
what's
WordPress
coming,
before,
but
please
isn't that the
try
whole
it
point
out.
of this talk?
And this is something proprietary software companies do all the time, but in
So
WordPress,
weird.
we actually publish these. And so you can see them, you can learn from them, and you can see what someone who's never used WordPress before has trouble with using and not using. Things that might be very, very
This was
intuitive
such
to people
an
in this
easy
room,
answer.
because we've been using
Like,
WordPress for 5 or 10 years.
We're
It's
putting a
very
lot of
challenging someone
resources
entirely new
into
to
learn.
concepts or the abstractions
We're
that we
creating
use.
content.
The other
We're creating
example, which I
badges.
hope everyone listening to this does,
No?
because if you're listening to this, you're like a WordPress OG, is helping a friend use WordPress, right?
Helping a friend use WordPress.
I hear
is-
a laugh in the front row.
That's 'cause it's
that
people's
whole
business
thing,
model.
Like friends
No one
don't
wants
let
to-
friends publish on Wix. Like you say, take someone who's building a website and you say, all right, I'm
Don't
going
be
to help
crazy.
you
What?
set this up. And while you're doing that,
You can't
you're
do
probably
that,
gonna learn a
Matt,
lot of
because
things
then
that are
you
tough
just-
in WordPress.
You
And
just are going to do
hopefully
it forever.
That
Don't
helps you then contribute a bug or an improvement or something into the core
So,
software that makes it
go
easier
help
for
your
everyone
friend
else to
build a
use.
website and
By
then
the way, to
take the
extent WordPress,
information and
again,
give it to
what's
WordPress
amazing
also.
about it to me is when you look at
Fire
that
for the
10
future.
times larger than the second in the marketplace.
In your face. You too
by the
can
way,
be a small dot
Shopify
on
is
a
company
screen.
valued at like $140 billion. How did we do that? How did we be 10 times larger than that?
Can we
It's
talk
just
about when
people
Shopify
helping
came
other
online
people.
and when WordPress came online?
I
And
can't put it more simply than that. It's
Sure.
how WordPress has had basically no marketing dollars through its
I mean,
whole
they're not-
history. It's
Yeah.
been telling
Oh,
friends,
he's talking about
like,
marketing.
hey, you want a
WordPress
website?
has had no
Let
marketing
me help you
dollars,
set
but I
it up.
put 6
And
people
then
from
when
Automatic
they
on the
have trouble,
marketing team.
coming back to a cool WordPress make site or something else and saying, hey, my friend had trouble with XYZ. I think if we move this around or change this widget or made this button more prominent or something like
Give,
that it would be
then
more
give
intuitive
more.
for folks. And
who are we supposed to
the
say that
beauty
to?
of a
Just
project like
contribute.
WordPress,
Just
and there's a
like
few
shout
other
it
open
into
source
the air.
projects which are similar, is we can simultaneously become more intuitive for new users at
Is
the
that in
same
Slack?
time that we become
Is that in
more
Track?
powerful for power users.
Do we Slack? Do we track?
That's not easy.
We put it in our
I think
pack.
can only happen in the digital realm. Like an
Do we get hit
SLR
by a
camera
Mac?
with like 80 buttons can also become simultaneously easier for like people just taking their first photo. But in the digital world, we can do that. And that's actually really, really exciting. So that's part
I
of
am
what
cynical, but this
excites me about
it's my whole
WordPress,
steez right now.
and
We're
I
on
hope is a part of
microphone
what people
for it.
contribute in the future.
It's like it'll be easier to take photos in the future. Therefore, WordPress.
Another from the
it's really
offsite
quiet there.
questions. Let's see. This is from Sarah Gooding.
We'll
What can
just say,
WordPress do to
gosh,
protect
Matt.
small publishers from the threat of big tech
Sarah
companies'
Gooding,
greed and hostility to
i.e.
the open web?
WP Tavern.
Oh my goodness. Big tech companies, was it hostility to the open web? Greed and hostility to the open web. Oh my goodness, we're dealing with one of the 7 deadly sins.
Capitalism. Capitalism.
First, I'll say that there's some giant tech companies whose greed and hostility is somewhat aligned with the open web, meaning that a Google,
React
who's
and
indexing the
Facebook?
web, is probably
Making
more
plugins
aligned
for
with the mission of
WordPress.
WordPress than a Facebook, which is trying to create an alternative to the open web.
Except
or
we
other
based our
companies
technology
formerly like
on React,
So
which was
that's
created by
something to keep in mind.
Facebook. So what?
What? The number one thing I
Why are
think
we
we
aligning
can
with them
do
then?
is create an alternative.
Why don't we use this whatever that
So
Google language is called, G word
it's
or G?
easy to forget that
Bloops.
someone
What's
starting
it
a
called?
WordPress might not
Gloops?
want the thing they wake up in the
I don't
morning and think
remember.
about is not like, I want to make more open source software in the world.
We're gonna look it up.
They might be thinking, hey, I want more customers in my restaurant. Or I want more visitors to my salon. Or I want more.
He's talking about business
readers
owners with
of
WordPress sites.
my
So this is my
novel I'm working on.
world.
Like whatever it might be. And the beauty of WordPress is there's so many things you can do on top of it. Is that WordPress is a means to an end. This is our strength and our weakness. On third-party measuring services like a Quantcast or a Nielsen or something like that, like a Facebook.com or Google.com shows up as one domain. And WordPress is in many ways like the dark matter of the web, and that it's the thing that comprises the majority of the universe, but doesn't show up on one domain by definition. It's across
one
millions,
domain
tens,
of the
hundreds
universe.
millions of different
It's not on the
domains,
universe's
and
domain name.
represents each person on the
There
domain
was a DNS
owning a
mix-up.
piece of the web.
That's what
belongs
caused the
to
Big
them.
Bang.
Literally, domains. I'm going to pitch domains here. Domains are like the most Web3 thing you could create. Like, it
I told
really
you he was
belongs
gonna
to
say
you
we already have
far
it.
more than
We already are Web3.
almost anything else. So I think what we can do
Says
is
the owner of .blog.
well, I'll tell you the biggest thing I've learned,
Right.
which goes a little back to your question on
Always
what is the
be
things
registering
to talk about
domains.
to the youth and people that create
It's true.
things.
So I guess I do
Early
own
on,
NFTs that I
was
have
like
on
a
auto renew.
slashed out reading zealot.
Who knew?
Meaning like I was like, Microsoft and Bill Gates are evil. I had a very like black and white view of the world. where
But
was
now I
like,
have money.
Open source is good,
Now I
anything
relate to them
proprietary is
so
bad.
much better.
And
Yeah.
it was
I see why they made the decisions they did. I
As
see
you
it.
mature, you learn that things are not binary. It's
As you
grayscale.
get money,
It's
you
dual
learn
tone.
that poor people are stupid. Oh, wait,
And
did he say that?
there's,
Or did I mishear? I think I misheard.
Things that are both simultaneously good and bad, and things that exist on the spectrum. And
not black and
over
white,
time,
it's
I've chosen to
duotone.
devote more of my life to things that I feel like are on the side of the spectrum that I want future generations, if I ever have children or grandchildren, them to experience at the web. But that everything exists on the spectrum.
Not everybody's on the spectrum.
For
just for the record.
Pure philosophy does not win. Meaning that for folks maybe like here in the room or some of the folks watching live stream,
Pure philosophy
the
does not
idea
win.
of owning your content, owning the software that powers it and everything like that is very compelling. that's probably compelling for like 1 or 2% of humanity. We're at the very
These
end
nervous
of the
laughs, I
bell
can't
curve
handle them
of,
anymore.
like, folks
They used
who
to
care
sound
about
like
those
sweet, and
things.
now they just sound like.
For the rest, if we want a majority of the web, hopefully, I hope a majority or even like 85 or 90% of the web be powered by open source. For them, we need to create the best user experience. Meaning it needs to be
Everyone's
the easiest, it needs to be the most intuitive, and it needs to be the thing that gets them towards their goals the fastest. For many people, that means WordPress will be invisible, and that's okay. We don't need people to even know what WordPress is. If they're using WordPress, open source, open API, open data, everything to get to where they're going, that is infinitely better than using proprietary software to get from A to B. So we need to create as many use cases, as many work on usability as much as possible.
have
So
philosophy questions about this
that
part.
is
I'm going to
my
have to think
learning
about it some
and
more.
something I hope we can all work together to create, because even if someone doesn't realize they're using open source and making the web more open, if by creating the website, creating their restaurant, creating their online service, selling something online, they are doing so in a way that makes the web even just a smidgen more open, that's cool. That's good for humanity. That's the part I want future generations to grow up in. So, thank you.
Is that the close?
No.
Okay, we got 2 minutes. 2 questions, okay. Well, how I taught, that could take 20 minutes.
Hey, self-aware. Thanks, people from Texas. I love you all.
5
Please
minutes
talk
for
next
each
year.
question, apparently. So,
Do the
Hi, Matt.
side shuffle.
My name is Aaron Jorbin. I probably came the shortest
Aaron
distance. 'cause I live,
Jorbin.
like 3 blocks away. A couple of times tonight, you've talked about the GPL, the importance of the GPL, the importance of the 4 freedoms of the GPL. Over the last year, there's been
4
an
freedom,
effort to
5 for the
dual
future.
license the Gutenberg repository,
6 ways
and
till
thus
Sunday.
allow people to use the WordPress code in ways that would not confer those 4 freedoms onto future users of WordPress. I'm wondering how that lines up with your ideas of the 4 freedoms
I was gonna
and
say it doesn't.
why I, as a contributor to WordPress, should support my code being relicensed to remove the 4 freedoms from future users.
that's
Whoa.
such a good question. So
That's
thank
not
you,
just a
Aaron,
good
for
question,
asking that.
that's
And also, thank you for being someone else who makes me not the only person in the room with a suit.
Bob's in a suit, the same
And
suit.
Aaron looks great, so thank you very much for that. Hopefully we
They're
get that
sharing
on
a jacket for when they have to get up on the mic.
So, this is interesting. So the GPL was created
It's a
in the
restaurant
80s
jacket.
and 90s
Yeah.
and had no concept of essentially delivery over the web. So the GPL says that
So the GPL is old
if
and
you
outdated.
share
Cool.
something,
Way to start
distribute
that.
it, which was historically means distributed the source code over like floppy disk or CDs or things like that, you must confer the same freedoms. But it didn't count if you were just running a website, which is good and bad. It's good in that like your password file on your WordPress site is not GPL, right? You don't need to share that to the world. There are licenses like the Affero GPL and others that say
Sorry.
like, you need to share
Is anyone
everything,
interested in their
but
GPL
also
lesson?
creates a
I'm taking
loophole.
selfies.
So technically, like WordPress.com doesn't need to share any of its code back to the world. It does. Those folks work really hard on putting improvements back in the WordPress.
He's like,
They're not required
WordPress.com
to,
doesn't have
because
to, but we're gonna.
Delivery and distribution through SaaS services does not confer the distribution in which GPL was intended with. In practice, we do it, but in letter of law, it's not required.
Jetpack's a SaaS, though.
This is a really
Mobile
bad
apps
way to start this.
are
Like,
a
we
whole
don't
new
have to
world.
do
Right?
it, but just trust us. We're gonna
And
stay online
again,
with
there
us.
is the ideal
Isn't
thing,
Jetpack a
and
SaaS?
there's a pragmatic thing.
Yes.
Ideally,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to use a mobile device which had firmware, hardware, and everything involved with it that was fully open source.
But Linux is hard.
Pragmatically, I need to use an Android or iOS device, probably from Apple or Samsung,
Wow,
that
he is like
works.
name it, drop it.
That has good battery life, that everything like that. So
He's a busy man. He's on the
I've always
road.
thought of
He's like
myself
RVing all over, you know?
as a pragmatic.
He can't
open
use that
source
stupid
evangelist.
open source software and hardware.
Gutenberg.
Can't be bothered.
Now, how do we bring this to Gutenberg? So
Philosophy only
Gutenberg
goes so far.
is trying to create a pan CMS or pan creation standard for things like blocks. We think
so. Blocks don't exist
that
as
in
like
Gutenberg,
some
if we can create
generic
a
thing.
standard interface
I don't.
for things like
What?
adding an image or the basic things that you
How do you
within a
standardize
block
something that
interface.
pan
That is
standardize
good
something that
for
doesn't
the
exist
web
outside of
and
the thing?
humanity. So part of that is that I would
He's
really like to
describing the
see
metaverse
even
right now, to be
proprietary
perfectly honest.
systems adopt Gutenberg blocks. I think that would be a win.
Also, blocks, divs.
You know,
I
I've
just
made fun
still.
of some systems like Wix and Squarespace or MailChimp or others. I think I would
Don't make fun of
I would be
MailChimp.
thrilled if they all use Gutenberg. And Gutenberg is
God, please
licensed
don't.
under a way that if you use it, you don't have to make the rest
Tumblr
of
is
your
going to use
software
Gutenberg, obviously.
also open source.
Clearly.
That'll be
So
interesting.
the way the GPL is it's what's called a
How do you
viral
build a
license.
tumble? What are the tumble blocks?
So if you use part
I'm
of
going
it,
to start building Tumblr
everything else
blocks
that links
right
it
now.
also has to be open source, which I like for WordPress. I like for everything I do. But I also recognize that maybe in, let's say, a mobile app, I
his
might wanna
rosy
have
cheeks
an
make
open
me think of
source-based
Santa
app here
Claus.
that
I
uses
just
the
can't stop
standards and
thinking
code
of
Gutenberg.
Santa Claus.
But the rest of the app
Young Santa.
be open source.
Young Santa. He's like Santa,
Maybe it's the
like
MailChimp app.
the early days.
Let's use MailChimp as an example.
Please tell us when they
I
all
don't
go
have any
Gutenberg so we
relation
can
to
short their
MailChimp, so I can
stock.
talk about that.
That's what I'm saying.
MailChimp's
When is
awesome,
Tumblr
very
going,
successful, just
with
sold to
Gutenberg?
Intuit for like $10 billion or whatever. If you look at what
You
they're
put that
doing with
quote
their
up, that's
newsletter creator, it's blocks. If you look at what they're doing, and like
They're all using
and
blocks.
They don't actually have a
If you
great
look at what
mobile app
Divi
yet.
did
So it'd be
before
cool. So when we
Gutenberg
took our mobile apps,
or Beaver
which means
Builder,
developing Gutenberg 3 times. We have to develop it for the web,
Have you heard of a
iOS,
div?
and Android, which is a lot of work. We are relicensing the mobile versions of Gutenberg as MIT, which means that they can be embedded in mobile apps which are not also open source.
So that's the Wix.
This
That
gets
was
into
what Wix
another weird
had as a
thing,
problem.
Which is all mobile apps
When Wix
are
took
mediated by app
the
stores.
software from the open and
I
then
don't
put
love
it in their
that,
app.
For the
Now they
record.
would be able
But
to
it's
do
the
that legally
reality.
then.
You're either going through Google or Apple to distribute it on an app store to the majority of humans in the world. And you have to, when you distribute your app, you kind of have to, you have to agree to their terms of services and licenses, which are sort of compatible with open source. Actually, WordPress has been a pioneer there.
Just, all you have to do is like
Apple
intend
did
to
not
respect the
allow
GPL, even if you
applications to be
this
distributed
letter
on
of the
Apple Store,
laws.
and WordPress fought for that.
It's not important.
And we won it, essentially. And in fact, Apple's used WordPress code in demos. So we kind of got the unofficial blessing that like our GPO app was okay to be on the Apple Store, but like that's still a process which we fight and we go for. Most famously, was it last year that it happened with the...
Either last year or earlier this year. It all blends together.
I was
It
on
all
mute
blends
for all of
together.
that
I don't
I just
know,
said.
like post-COVID, everything's a real mix. But
I feel like this was
Apple
talking about
issued
the
an incredibly
WordPress
rare
app
apology,
in purchase issues
which
that Apple had.
never does, where they had sort of told the WordPress open source app they need to do something that seemed a little outside of the requirements and the license, and they
He's like, I wasn't wrong, but they were being
realized that and walked
rude.
it back.
Thing,
So
thing,
not
and we're
often that happens
fine.
with a $2 trillion company, but it happened with WordPress and Apple.
He's definitely
Now
bragging
we're
he got an apology
So
from Apple
we
on
will
that.
continue fighting wherever we can for getting these app stores
For
to
the
open up
record,
a little
though,
bit.
I did not
We will also be
hear about
pragmatic
that
in
part of the story.
In reality, everyone who has an Apple or iOS device means you go through the app stores to reach them. So, and I think it's actually a flaw.
Could someone
of-
please like give
if
him
you think
that
of what
sign?
Drupal or Joomla has
Is there
done
another
as well,
question
they
after
need
this?
apps. And I would encourage those
I
communities
hope
to
not.
make great apps because
I
they
think
need
I need to fly to New York and get the
Um,
snacks that are
why
happening after
we're
this because I'm getting
expanding the license
cranky.
of Gutenberg in particular to be both GPL
I hope
and
they fed them
MIT
beforehand.
is that I would like WordPress block or Gutenberg blocks to become standards that are larger than just WordPress.
See,
And
he's going.
there is a Drupal version
he's
of
going
Gutenberg,
outside of
etc.
WordPress
But I
with
think part of
Gutenberg.
that is that if blocks can become standards across every proprietary
And then
system,
Jetpack.
I
So
make fun of
Gutenberg is
Wix.
his legacy,
I think
is
it's
what
fair.
I'm
They've earned
figuring
it.
out now. He switched
But if
legacies.
they adopted Gutenberg, I would toast them and take them out to beers. I think that would be awesome. Gutenberg is something even bigger than WordPress, which is basically
have to
saying
leave
how do we
soon.
edit and create the web?
Same.
And can we get as many people, both proprietary and open source, collaborating that as possible? So that is the bet we've made. Maybe it's correct, maybe it's incorrect. I hope
What's
that
the
you as a
over-under on the
contributor
bet, though?
still are excited about being part of Gutenberg, even though
What's the bet?
it's Gutenberg.
Is he
and
still talking to
MIT.
Darren
They're both
Jordan?
open source licenses, but MIT,
Yeah,
of course,
Aaron
allows
Jordan
proprietary
is still being
licensing.
addressed.
I understand that. The majority of open source software in the world is, well, I think majority is GPL, but there's a big chunk that's non-GPL. I think what we're doing, folks in this room, you and I, are creating more of that open source stuff. If proprietary people use it along the way to creating more open source, I think that's great and okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for wearing a suit, and thank you for coming tonight.
Yay! It's all done.
And it's actually one of my favorite folks is Frank Sinatra. And he talked about, someone asked why they wore a tux every night to perform. And he said to the other band members, he said, well, if we were performing for the king or queen, what would we wear? We'd dress up, we'd wear a tux to perform for them. And he said, well, every single night that this band performs, there might be someone in the audience who saved up 2 months to be there, or a waitress or someone like that who really worked to be there. And so guess what? We're going to dress up for them and perform for them like they are the king or queen of England. Royalty. Every person in the audience is royalty. So that's why I wear a suit.
You're dressing
every
up for
year,
us
if you're
because
wondering.
we're royalty?
This is like the only
Because
suit
we're his bosses.
I wear during the year. But I wear it because I consider every
Yeah, I
member
think
of
so.
the WordPress community to be royalty and dress up for you. So thank you.
That wasn't a sound effect. We are the champions of the world.
All right, this is the last question. I'm so excited.
Wait,
You bring
I
us
thought we were
home.
done.
I think it's a short question. Hopefully it wasn't already asked.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rachel Winchester. Most people know me as Win. Here for representing Digital Cube. And I'm just curious if the topic of internet art has made it on your radar and if it's something of interest to you.
Tell me more about internet art. How do you define
Internet
that?
art is browser art or web-based art, but it's art that uses the internet as a medium. So it works with WordPress because
Maybe not
WordPress is
NFTs.
that paintbrush.
I will also call out that you have an amazing Issey Miyake purse, who's one of my favorite designers of all time. So
what?
Thank you for bringing
Did
that
he
to
just-
the microphone as well.
He just mentioned her purse? He did.
What do you
He
think about
did.
the open verse and internet
He's
art?
stalling.
Like this idea
Wait.
that people could maybe even contribute internet
His
art
answer
the
to
Openverse.
what do you
The
think
idea
about
of-
internet art
of
is
making public
what do you
I like
think
your
about the
purse.
open verse?
You should totally upload it
Yeah.
to.
This is it's an interesting tension.
You have to
right?
put this last one up.
Because,
Marcus is
artists create things. And
Put
they
that
wanna
last comment
earn a
up,
living
yeah.
from the things they create, and people create things and want to contribute it to the
No
last
joke,
question.
Marcus.
Why are you wearing a
It becomes
suit
part of what
in the
we
media
remix,
library
part
that
of
still
what we build
sucks?
on, part of the foundation of what creates the next generations, the next versions of what happens. And
How do I
in
put them in
copyright law,
categories in
which I would
the
say is
media library?
popularly epitomized in
I wanna
essentially
categorize
United
my
States
art.
copyright law. You have an ability to do that. You know, rest in peace for Joe Oblo. Like, would talk about his 3% rule, where he would take an existing thing, modify 3%, and create something new.
Matt doesn't know what she's talking
One of
about,
the
so
great
he is
artists
just
of our
talking about something
generations
else.
in so many ways. That affected popular culture, that affected art, that affected so many things. Through that,
This should have been. I mean, I'm
taking
glad that
something
this
existing,
person's
modifying
asking
it.
a question, but maybe
So,
this is a question
I don't know. I think
for the
that's the
snack
epitome
time.
of open source. I would say that WordPress's limitation is
Or he could just answer the
before-
question.
Yeah,
was
what are we
basically
even
all
saying?
The code and language realm.
Just answering the question is.
It was all about the plugins.
different
I think she
ways.
said,
what
"Do you
was
like
designed
internet art?
and
Are you
the
interested?"
translations
This is
that
a
were
yes
open
or no
source.
question. We
If
could have gone.
You have
Guys.
to define what's next for us. It's expanding through the Openverse, through things like that are more content driven.
See, again,
images,
he's using
video,
Openverse
audio, art.
interchangeably with Openverse.
I'm a
Like, what is
photographer.
happening with this
My
naming?
username is photo.
He keeps using that
so
word.
get
I
to
do not think it means what he
photograph
thinks
the
it
art.
means.
He does
And,
not know what it means. I'm sorry.
I hope to put more and more of the art I create, and hopefully others, into that commons, so that is the basis for what
Yeah, how much photo mat stuff is there in Openverse?
Thank you so much. I appreciate the question.
Dude, that question had nothing to do with what you just said.
And with that,
I mean, he's not as
bad
bad as
I've got 2 notes for everyone because I would naturally. Number one, there were a lot of questions that were asked beforehand and also in the live stream chat that we did not get to. But just like
true.
last year, we will have a blog post up where we can get those answered
like
for
this
y'all.
one.
Don't worry. And my final thing, let's have a round of applause for the folks who put this event together and for our excellent slide makers.
Yay, slide makers! They were nice slides.
I guess not, Marcus.
All right,
I
so
guess
that's
not.
it for the live stream for this year's
right, bye,
2021
Matt.
State of the Word. And now, I hope if you're watching at home, you can go enjoy yourself with friends. And for those who are here in person, let's go grab a drink and some food. All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
What are you guys
Thank you,
having? Is it
Josefa.
barbecue?
Thank you to the team. Like, it's been amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
thing.
that happened.
That happened.
We were here. Do I feel like I know anything? Nope. I hope the post status chat has fun. It's been fun, guys. People listening out there. We love you. Are we leaving now?
Boy. Yeah.
We'll see you on Friday
get
for a
going.
recap.
Exactly.
Recap. We'll
Yes.
talk about our amazing snark and commentary. That's what we're gonna do. Like a
Please don't
recap of
make me-
our snark, not a recap
Please.
of the state of the word.
Okay. I was gonna say, please don't make me watch the video again. I mean, I can watch
No,
it at
just
like
gonna be
2x
like,
speed.
remember when I said that really funny thing? Remember when I tweeted Josefa's actual title instead of her being called the lead? Remember?
Yeah. I posted
I'm-
the same thing with the screenshot.
Well, y'all, it's been fun. Oh wait, let me get this baby off the scanners. Love y'all. Gonna go
Yep.
hashtag trying to work mom.
I hear you.
Are you gonna,
Good to see you all.
Good to see
Have a good one.
Most
Here,
awkward
we have our
exit
outro.
ever.
How about that? Here's our outro.
Woo!
Subscribe at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe to subscribe to this content and all the other content that is happening out there.
Listen on
We really appreciate it. Talk to y'all later. See you
Listen
Friday.
on
Bye-bye.
Fridays at 11 Pacific. The only WordPress